Woodrow.
That is me.
Here we is.
Yes, we is. On a Friday, as a matter of fact.
Which is weird.
It feels a little strange.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It feels a little bit strange.
And my question to myself is, do I just stay drunk all weekend?
Yes.
That's the answer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, what was the alternative?
Well, just hit Friday hard.
Okay.
And leave Saturday and Sunday alone. I'm fucking with you.
That feels weird.
Well, we sit here on a Friday, our first Friday ever recording. We got a mask off. Tell them what a mask off is, Woodrow.
Yeah, so mask off, guys. For those of you that are listening for your first time here, and I always say this on our mask offs, we always pick up some stragglers on our mask off because, you know, our mask off guest always brings in new faces and new friends. What a mask off is, guys, is when we bring in somebody that does something different than what we do. They do it a lot better and much better than we do. And we bring them in. We pull that mask off. We get to know them just a little bit better and get to know what they're all about. So this is where I get to speak French. So without further ado, to our mask off guest, who are you? What's your name? What is it that you do?
My name is Ryan. I am a recently retired police officer.
Motherfucking po-po. Motherfucking po.
The 5-0.
Hey, I swear, I am all caught up on child support. Okay, so
not according to the records.
That's one of the questions I had. Was he doing family court too? And this was the setup.
Yeah, here we go.
So you're a retired police officer, or as Tupac says, the police?
Right. Very, very recently retired, yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. Is that good? I mean, I don't know.
The courts forced me to retire. No. I did almost 22 years and decided to call it a day. So here I am.
When you say you did 22 years, that sounds like you got out of prison.
I did 22 years in the clink.
So apparently I never saw him when I was up there. Anyway, whatever. Hey, 22 years.
Our mask off guest, we always like to warm him up, right? So I guess this is you doing calisthenics before work, or maybe getting your mind right to go out.
I'm sitting across from you. You know I'm fat. I never did calisthenics before work.
I tried to give you a little prop. I'm gonna ask you some random questions. We're gonna answer these questions, and let's try and get you. And they're not like the trick questions you guys do. You know what I mean?
Oh, these are fair questions?
Yeah,
I don't like these questions.
Like you were doing earlier. You said, I'll say to the guy, how old are you? And he'll tell me, and I go, when were you born? And if they start stammering, I know they're lying.
Yeah, like a cold room.
Like easy, Columbo. Yeah. Right? What was your senior prom theme song?
This is easy because I coordinated my senior prom. It was, except now, Faithfully by Journey. That was the theme song.
Wow.
You know the song, right? Yeah, that was the theme song for my senior prom.
That's hilarious. Yeah. You ever been in a hot air balloon?
No, and no thank you.
I would love to be in a hot air balloon.
No thank you.
No thank you, scared of heights?
Yeah, I am terrified of heights.
Oh,
yes.
I'd love to.
Unless I'm strapped into something. I'm not strapped into a hot air balloon, so no thank you.
So you do like rides and shit?
Yeah, rides. I've actually been rappelling off of high cliffs, and I really enjoyed that, but I'm strapped in. So yeah, but no, not on a hot air balloon.
Have you ever been to any food or beverage processing plant?
Absolutely.
Where have you been?
One of my favorite places to go is we spend almost every summer there is Tillamook, Oregon, to the Tillamook Cheese Factory. And you asked the question. Don't laugh at me when I give you the answer. The Tillamook Cheese Factory. Yes,
they do have delicious cheese.
They do. Yeah. Cheese and ice cream.
Where's it at again?
Tillamook, Oregon.
Tillamook. All right.
Oh, I didn't realize it was an actual place. I thought it was just the name.
No, yeah, Tillamook City, right on the ocean there in Oregon.
Oh,
so they can dump all the byproduct into the ocean.
Oh, sure, yeah. I don't give a shit about how the.
How do they make different types of cheese? There's like aging rooms, right? Don't they age stuff in different rooms?
I guess. Oh, look, ultimately, I show up and I eat the platter of cheese that they hold in front of me. I don't ask questions about how long do you age this particular cheese. I don't care. Just tastes good, and I want ice cream.
You know what I learned? I learned a while ago that cheddar cheese is actually white. Like, it comes out white. They add the yellow for flavoring.
So if they didn't add anything to it, it would be white?
They don't add it for flavoring. They add it for, like, just identifier.
Oh.
Because it was so many white cheeses.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Well, they do have white cheddar, so that makes sense. They have a white cheddar, so that just means that cheddar they're not adding any colors to.
Right.
Yeah, it's just regular cheddar. Oh. Huh.
Okay, my last question. Up to what size wild animal do you think you could fight to the death and win?
We talking pounds?
Yeah, pound size, whatever.
Fight to the death and win. I'm going to say nothing bigger than a Maltese Shepherd. We're talking medium-sized breed dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maltese. When I hear Maltese, I think poodle.
I was thinking Maltese, like the show dogs that have the long, flowy white hair.
I was trying to make it sound cooler. Yeah, it's a small dog.
It's a toy dog?
It's a small dog. I'm terrified of dogs.
Why are you scared? You've been a cop.
I served a religious mission in Mexico for 2 years.
Okay.
When I was 19 to 21 years old. They have wild-ass dogs all over the damn place. And these dogs are starving to death, and they will kill you if they think they can get a bite. So, yeah, I'm terrified of dogs.
So, but didn't say like dog breed, but you just said animal.
I said wild animal. So you didn't answer the question.
You could have went like
up to what size wild animal do you think you could fight?
Okay, what's a toucan? What's a docile ass wild animal that's really big? Because I'll kick the shit out of it.
A kangaroo.
No, those are mean sons of bitches. Have you ever seen those?
Well, you just said okay.
No. I'm not going toe to toe with a kangaroo. You put a panda bear? No,
they'll fuck you up too.
Koala. Those are koala bear, or even one of those sloths. I'll take a sloth on.
Take a sloth?
Yeah, they could probably weigh 60 pounds.
You got speed on your side.
Yeah, I do. Compared to a sloth.
You want no drama.
No.
That's what you say.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not cool with drama. I don't like drama.
Okay, so maybe like let's stick with like a dove. That's a wild animal.
Yeah, but it weighs about 6 ounces. Yeah. I mean, give me some credit.
I once had a dove. No, it wasn't a dove. It was a pigeon. It was one of those pigeons that they like fly and race. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
It landed in my yard, and I thought, what the heck? And it was doing like this gasping thing. And so I called. It had a little tag on it, so I was able to approach and look. And they're like, "Give it a couple days, it'll die." I'm like, I don't want it to die. Come get it. And he's like, "No, just when it dies, throw it away."
See, I went hunting once for pheasants, and the people I went hunting with, they wanted to keep some of these pheasants. So it was at a farm because I'm a cheap hunter, and so they wanted to keep the pheasants. And they didn't want to screw up their feathers so they could mount it and it look all beautiful. So they taught me a technique to kill the pheasant. You're supposed to squeeze it under your arm. And I did it wrong, and the pheasant suffered. So that's why I need something that's docile and light. Otherwise, I'm going to lose.
Talk to me about the squeezing under the arm part. What, like the neck?
It's like a bagpipe, you know? So you take the bagpipe, you hold the pheasant in your arms, and then you squeeze it against its diaphragm, and you just hold it there. And the theory is the pheasant cannot inhale.
So you suffocate it.
It'll suffocate it. Okay. I screwed that up, and I screwed it up bad. This poor pheasant, I swear to God, it turned its head out of my hand, and it looked at me in the eye, and it had a single tear.
Like,
and it looked at me and was like, why? And I was like, I don't know why. And I'm like crying. I felt like shit, and it took like 10 minutes for me to kill this bastard.
Everybody else is on their third pheasant, and you're just on your first.
Not even kidding. Yeah, we killed 3 that way because we wanted to keep 3. The other 2, they were killed in like 1 minute flat, and I'm over here like, I can't do it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I don't even know what. Okay, one question for me, and the last question of your warm-ups. In which era do you wish you were born?
1950s.
Why?
Because it was full of male misogynism.
Perfect time to be a cop, I guess.
Yeah, perfect time to be a cop. You know, that's true. You get a lot of leeway. It's that time frame where you're like, I pulled you over for your broken tail light. What broken tail light? You're like, whack, that broken tail light. Right? So that would be great. There's no body cams to catch my bullshit.
Okay.
But also, just that's when, look, my parents were older parents, so they grew up in that time era. Dad came home from work. Mom had a hot meal. Look, you can call me sexist all day long. And
I was about to.
I know, and I understand that. And I love and respect women and their work. But my dad came home. Mom had a hot meal.
I love
and
and respect women work in the bedroom.
You got 3 places: the kitchen, the bathroom, and the kitchen.
There's no way I win. There's no way I win this conversation. But I like the 50s because roles were very well defined. I go out to work. I hunt and gather. I come home, and the family is taken care of by the wife, and we live a happy life. Yeah.
Well, one of you live a happy life.
No.
Were fucking miserable.
Yeah. Well, you're asking me my favorite time period. That's my favorite. Do you ask my wife? There's gonna be a different answer for sure.
Hers is like, can I add 20 years?
Yeah, I want the easy route. Yeah, so that's the easy route for me.
All right. Our guest always introduces us Snaggles. What are we drinking today?
What you got there is a Crown Royal salted caramel.
I like to call that salted caramel because it sounds sophisticated.
And it comes with the brown weed bag.
Do you know what? Yeah, bingo. You nailed it, because when I was working the road, we'd pull people over and I'd find that bag, and if there was not a bottle of Crown Royal in it, it was full of weed or pipes. Guaranteed every time.
I'm not going to let you hold this one.
No, put it away.
Just set that there. It clanked when you laid it down right then.
Yeah, that's always the sign, man. Okay. And as normal, our Snaggles is brought to you by...
First up, guys, we got Tiger Claw Tattoo. You know where they're at. They're over there on Mill Creek, 801-410-4245. Go see, not Shay, but go see the rest of the crew over there. We'll let you know when Shay's back up and running. I know some of our listeners have appointments with him, and he has rescheduled. He's hoping to come in, I think, beginning of February, if I'm not mistaken.
But don't let that stop you from going up there and looking at other people's portfolios and what they can do.
No.
Because they might be more conducive. If you already got an appointment with Shay, stay with that.
Right, exactly.
That's your guy.
If you're on the fence about it, do I want a tattoo? Yes, you do. And then you're going to want to go in and see Tiger Claw Tattoo, because they have at least 4 other artists over there that kick ass.
Bust ass.
And they have different styles, so maybe you're into like all the little dots. Mm-hmm. They have one that does that. Either into Japanese art, they have that. Realism, they have that. Mm-hmm. So go check out Tiger Claw Tattoo, guys. And then if, let's say you have a jersey, I don't know, maybe a Utah Utes jersey that's sitting on your fridge.
That's 8 sizes too big for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could wear it as a dress. And you want to get that.
You have. I don't know what your women are into. But I know for a fact you wore it as a dress.
Yeah, I did. At first, I was handed this jersey, and I thought it was a dress, so I put it on, and I was like, oh, look how pretty. And then I realized it was actually a jersey. So anyway, go over to mvpjerseyframing.com. They will put that jersey in a beautiful frame, make it look nice, sharp, neat, all of those things. Ask them to put some lighting in with it just to, spice it up a little bit, because that's what I'm going to do. Last up, we have the H Cube. That is, they're found at facebook.com/the H Cubed.
Okay.
They are your etching HQ. So if you want anything, I don't know, etched on a glass, etched in wood, leather, canvas bags, stone. I was given one. They showed me something they did in stone.
Really?
I'll post it up on our Facebook, since theirs apparently they don't know how to handle.
Getting sick of that shit.
Yeah, some really cool stuff, guys. So if you want something etched up, done up, I think it's getting a little bit late for Christmas, but hey, you can always give somebody a late Christmas gift. Check out the H Cubed over there on the Facebooks, and they'll hook you up. So yeah, there we go.
Ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Ready to go. All right. You said you were a recently retired cop. How long did you do?
I just shy of 22 years, so 21 and change.
Oh, okay. When did you retire?
3 months ago, almost exactly.
So you started in 2000?
Yep, 2000.
What made you want? What made you want to do that? Were you one of those kids always? I want to be a cop when I get bigger. And you dress up in uniforms.
I wish I had a cool story about it. I just want. So here's a true fact about me. I never missed an episode of Cops. Back when it was cool, like you remember when Cops started airing? I don't know, 90 something. It started airing every Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I watched every episode. If I was going to be gone playing a basketball game or doing something on a Saturday night that I couldn't catch it, I set the VCR to record it. I never once missed an episode of Cops for the first 20 years.
That's impressive.
And then I started my law enforcement career and immediately stopped caring about the episode of Cops. Yeah.
I remember an episode of Cops. This dude, he's in a laundromat and he's naked. And he's in there.
Dude, he wrecked people. That guy?
You remember that guy?
Absolutely.
And what they do, they sent those fucking dogs in there, and he had a dog on each arm, and he's still swinging.
Is he the dude? He's the dude that took on like 6 cops at the same time. He was butt-ass naked.
And buff.
Yeah. Oh,
you remember that one?
Yeah, he came down the stairs, and he started wrecking cops.
No shit. That's the only Cops episode I remember.
I remember that. I absolutely remember that, and I was terrified of that situation ever happening to me.
And I remember the one in Vegas where the Las Vegas cop, the black cop, kept asking the white dude to take his hands out of his pocket, and he didn't take his hand out of his pocket, and he fucking karate chopped him in the fucking throat.
Yeah, I wanted to do that to somebody so bad. I thought that cop was a badass. I don't know what anyone else thought.
Those are the 2 episodes I remember.
Yeah, and you know what? So this has given me some credibility because I watched every one and know exactly what you're talking about. Like that cop he was pretending to be cool and talk to this kid, like he pretended to put his hand in his pocket and then
right in the throat.
Right in the throat, and he took him down. Maybe a bit heavy-handed. The kid wasn't putting up much of a threat, but I thought that cop was a badass, and I couldn't wait to do that. And then it turns out in the academy, you're not supposed to do that. Bullshit, whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But I remember watching that episode thinking that's badass, and then I turned out, the throats are kind of off limits.
So hold on, I got a cops.
My bad.
The one episode I watched was on Roseanne.
I got
an episode of Cops on Roseanne.
Yeah,
I never watched Roseanne. What happened?
Oh yeah, so it's like an episode of Cops is being filmed and Roseanne's watching it, and then they break in her house, and then she goes running out of the room and comes in and like a titty's hanging out, so it's all blurred. You know, Roseanne back in the mid '90s she's a heavier gal, and so she's got like one titty flopping around, but it's all blurred out, so you can't see. And then it cuts in, and Dan comes in. He's like, which is the Roseanne's husband in the show, and like they're arguing and fighting, but Cops is like breaking into their house.
Why are Cops coming into the house?
I don't know. It was some like play on the show Cops.
Yeah, that was filmed for the TV show Roseanne, not as a TV show for Cops.
Yeah, right. So I never watched Cops. So
you really didn't.
I'd catch like, so I have an aunt that was very
she liked
it. She liked it, men in uniform, I think.
Okay. Yeah, she did.
Now as I'm older, I'm like, oh, that explains a lot of your magazines. This is awkward. But anyway, I never watched it, but I know she did, so I'd catch like snippets when I go in. But I never watched it. It was never a thing for me. I remember watching it on Roseanne.
You're about my age, so there's really, so you just weren't into it because it was like right in the prime of your TV watching life.
Yeah,
as a young man.
I had other things going on at that time of my life.
I did not.
Have you ever had any other job, or was that your job coming up and out?
So I started right at 21 years old. Prior to that, so like I said,
why'd you wait so long? Why didn't you do it like earlier?
Well, you have to be 21.
Oh, do you?
In the great state of Utah, you have to be 21 to be able to carry a gun. There's,
but you can be 18 and go to war. That doesn't make any sense.
No. That's a different argument. I'm 100% in agreement with you that if you're old enough to fight in a war and carry a weapon and defend our country, you should be old enough to be a police officer. I'm right with you.
And buy alcohol.
Yeah, and buy alcohol.
Yeah, that's the big one.
I'm right. Yeah. I'm on the same page as you for
sure.
So
that doesn't make any sense to me. So you have to be 21 to be a cop.
That's a political thing. 21.
Okay. So you did it at 21?
Yeah, so like I said, I went on a religious mission when I was 19. Got home when I was 21 years old. And like a dumbass, I proposed to my wife, to my girlfriend at the time. I was working the front desk as a receptionist at a hotel when I proposed to my wife. So we got married. But before we got married, I did start working at the jail with the local sheriff's office. That's how I got started.
You're moving kind of fast. So you're working as a receptionist, which you would think that's a woman's job, Mr. 1950s.
No. I kind of regret that line of conversation, but no. I didn't consider it a woman's job. I actually I had a buddy that worked for the local police department who gave me a radio, which now looking back, it's kind of like a theft, but he gave me a police radio that I turned on. And I worked nights behind the counter at this hotel, and I had the police radio going all night long. So I kind of considered myself night security, or night management.
Yes, he wasn't a receptionist.
It was, as far as the books are concerned, it was receptionist.
So you had a cop radio just for fun, or to scream into? Was that
fun? It was. Really? It was for entertainment. I loved it. I had the 10 code, which is what you hear cops all the time. 10-4, 10-6. I know
10-4.
Yeah. So like the 10 code.
That's also CB talk, right? 10-4, good.
Yeah. You hear truckers do the hey, what's your 20, which is like 10-20 for cop talk, your location. So the 10 code I had memorized long before I was ever a police officer because I listened to the radio and obsessed over that.
10 code. So it's from 10 to what?
10 to 100.
So
10-0, so you have 100 items within this 10 code. 10-1, 10-2, 10-3, all the way to 100.
Like that. So, all right,
so you had to learn all 100?
Yeah.
What's 10-12?
Okay, well, so there's...
no.
You're going to put me on the spot.
No,
that's a valid question. It's a valid question. So there are certain codes that were used very regularly and other codes that were not. 10-12 has a meaning that I don't particularly recall, but there's a handful of codes that you use all the time.
How long were you a cop?
22 years.
Okay. So
and ask me how many times I said 10-12 on the radio. Zero. Never. Okay. I never once said 10-12 on the radio.
10-23.
10-23 means I arrived at the scene of an incident.
10-52.
You're getting now. I've been retired, and there's been some drink happening. 10:52. Is that wrecker? I don't recall. Almost seems like that's me requesting a wrecker on the scene of an accident. 10:52.
I thought you said wreck her.
That's what I thought too. It's like, damn.
No, we'd use it like that. Like, hey, there's a 10:52. There's a 10:52 on the corner of 18 and 2000. Yeah, I'd do that shit. Yeah, no. So there wwere things like that, but 1052, like 1050 meant a car accident. So in my mind, 1052.
So 10-1 to 10 what?
1099 officially, 10100 meant you needed to take a shit.
What? Really?
Yeah.
You guys have to tell people that on the radio?
Well, we didn't have to. It was just kind of fun. Just kind of fun. So like 10-0, you start at 10-0.
What's
right?
10-0?
10-0 means like, ooh, use caution, be careful. Like, hey, you're going to a domestic call, use 10-0. That means be careful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you have 10-0 all the way up to 1099.
So you could say I 10-100 when you go there, be 10-0?
You could. Yeah. So all the way to the end of the 10 code, you have 1099, which means stolen vehicle or stolen. Sometimes people get on and be like, hey, that bicycle's 1099, which means stolen. So 10100 didn't technically exist. But me as a police officer, I'd get on and be like, hey, I'm going to go back to the office for a 10100. Didn't mean anything officially, but unofficially, dispatch other police officers on the frequency knew that I need to go back to the office to take a shit. That's what that meant.
Wouldn't it just be easier to say, I'm going to go to the bathroom, or, hey, be careful?
Well,
or maybe.
No, because you got fucking reservationists at the hotel listening to this fucking radio.
Maybe, but I'll tell you what, that's not nearly as fun. But in all honesty, there are a lot of police agencies now going to what's called plain talk. And plain talk means you're kind of doing away with the 10 code and you're just talking plainly on the radio.
I learned that by watching A&E and the 9/11 shit, because the cops and the firemen couldn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
They had 10 codes, but they
different
couldn't.
codes.
They weren't, and even different agencies had different 10 codes.
Yep.
Right? So you're 10 numbers.
10, yeah.
Any
Any one
code,
of them.
whatever the
Yeah.
fuck you got. Your 10 is just for this state, but somewhere else those 10 codes can be something different, right?
Yep. So what I'm learning.
So different agencies couldn't talk to each other during 9/11. So they said, we're going to go plain speak.
Yep.
So
And that's happening.
Now in New York, you say, I have to take a shit.
Yeah.
I got to go poop
Yeah.
on the radio.
Maybe they do in New York. I can tell you that most people feel more comfortable with 10-100.
What can you say? I got to take a number 2?
Do you have to do anything for pee?
Technically, if we're being technical, 10-100 means you're going to go take a leak. 10-200 would mean you're going to go take a dump. But 10-100 just generally meant I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Take a number 1, take a number 2.
Bingo. There it is. 10-100, 10-200. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Let's hope there's no 300s in there.
I see what you did there.
All right. So here you are. You're at a hotel working. I'm assuming overnight because you're not that busy, and you got a radio and you're listening, and the little calls that come in, and you get your little heart on and shit.
Yep.
Oh, I want to be a cop. Yeah, and you want to be a cop. And so right then, before you're not 21 yet. Right?
I came home from my mission at 21, so I was 21, just in limbo, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Where did you go on this?
I went to Mexico. Lived in Mexico for a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I learned to speak Spanish while I was there.
How were the honeys down there?
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
They had some fucked up teeth. Generally speaking, look, I don't want to paint with a broad brush. But generally speaking, I worked in a lot of these little ranches, little communities, and some of them had like they were like batting 100. They were looking great. They'd smile at you, and they had like 4 teeth in their mouth. So that was common. But yeah.
All right, so you went down there, you come back, you're working in a hotel, you want to be a cop, 21, you became a cop.
Yep.
Did somebody touch you? Like, no, wait, let me finish that. Did somebody bless you? Did somebody say, hey, I want you to come be a cop?
That's exactly
Somebody
true.
pulled you in,
Yeah,
really?
one of my very closest friends, her name is Erica. She worked, she was the secretary to the sheriff of the county I lived in at the time. And she said, hey, we're hiring. We need people to work in the jail. You interested? And I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. And she hooked me up. She got me in there. She got me my first job.
See, here's the thing. Here's where my mind goes with, and I'm sure
Okay,
yours
I'm
because you're
listening.
allotment of kids. If that was reversed, if you were the guy that had to hook up for the job and that was the girl, automatically I would think like, what did you have to do to get that job?
Bingo.
And it kind of jumped in my head for you, but like you said, you don't work out much, so I would like to think Erica had a little higher standard.
For the record, back then when I was 21, I was in fantastic shape.
Okay.
I was in great shape.
Did you play sports?
I did. Yes.
What'd you play?
Ice hockey.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I played ice hockey.
That's a tough sport, and you guys fucking are the stinkiest people on the planet. Those pads are fucking disgusting.
But you know what? Also, there's a degree of superstition that goes into cleaning them. Hockey players don't want to clean their pads. There's a superstition that goes into that.
It's evident.
The stinkier ass you can have your equipment, the more likely you are to win that round of games.
Really?
We had a similar discussion about playing basketball and like washing your socks, wearing your North Carolina shorts underneath your Bulls shorts.
Jordan. There you go. Yeah.
Like stuff like that.
Same thing.
So because I don't know if you know this. Keith's a huge hockey fan. He's got a
didn't
team.
know that.
Yeah, he's got a team. So who's your favorite hockey team?
So I don't follow it in the professional league as I should, but if I had to pick a favorite hockey team, I'm embarrassed by it, but I'm going to pick the Ducks. And my reasoning is
because you can take them. You can take a wild duck.
I got them. I can suffocate their ass. Yeah, no, because I went to an Anaheim Ducks game, and it was the first NHL game I went to, and I had a blast. So I kind of just globbed onto them. Them and the St. Louis Blues. My favorite teams.
So I do like the I like Colorado because I have been to one of their games, and it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. But because I was during the playoffs, I watched the Las Vegas Knights, so now my heart is towards Las Vegas.
I did like them.
It's hard not to like them because they're close to home, right? And they're new, they're exciting, and you set all that aside, they're a badass team. They're good, and they're legit. Yeah.
I Bruins, Boston, right? I mean,
yes.
And then I did like the Knights. What they did, I think the first year they came out.
Yeah, that was their very first year. They went all the way to the finals. It was awesome.
I'm partial to the Bruins because that was the first team as a junior high kid. That was the first team I played on was a Bruins team. You know how they, just like in Little League Baseball, they'll give you a Padres uniform or whatever.
Yeah.
Our uniform was a Boston Bruins uniform, so I'm always partial to them for that reason.
Funny enough, that's why my favorite baseball team is the Padres. It was because
you told that story. Explain. I just want to do two more hockey things. First of all, do you have thick ankles?
No, I got bitch ankles.
All right, but normally hockey guys, they can skate out there without their laces tied because their ankles are so strong. Right?
People say that, but I've
seen it.
Okay, so in my experience, and it is limited experience, my skates have a very rigid ankle protector on them, right? So you tighten those things up. There is no need for me to use my ankles because my ankles aren't going to break. If I break my leg, it's going to be above the skate. So my ankles can be weak as shit. My skate's going to protect them, so my ankles are not great.
Okay.
So in my mind, I'm thinking like Gordon Hayward, Paul George break. You know, where it's like,
dude, nasty.
That's what I'm thinking. If you break your ankle in hockey.
Yep.
My second thing, will you explain to me what the fuck icing is?
Yeah. No, that's a common question. Icing is basically the ref calling a foul for a bitch move.
Okay, let's hear it.
So a bitch move being if you're on the offense and I'm playing defense, you're down in my end, you're trying to score on my goalie who is right behind me, right? And I'm trying to stop you. So you make a bad shot, bounces off the goalie, I get it and I get scared.
Okay.
So I fling the puck down the ice. So you guys got to go chase it. That's icing. That's basically the ref raising his hand being like, "Oh, bitch move. You should have skated that shit out."
Blue line, red line, blue line.
That's
it goes past the blue line and then goes past the red line. Is that icing?
Center ice.
Center ice is the red line.
No. Center ice is the next blue. You're gonna get me in a bad spot here. Blue line, or maybe it's all the way down to the goal line on the other side. It's goal line on the other side because you'll see him racing down to the end.
Okay, so have you actually played hockey?
Yeah. Look,
Snaggles is the winner all the time.
I didn't care about any of these rules. I just did shit.
All right.
I just got in it for the fights. Never gotten one.
I was the first kid in my high school hockey team that ever got kicked out for a fight because it was kind of a newer high school. And then I was the second kid in my high school hockey team to ever get kicked out for a fight. So I liked hockey fights. They were fun.
All right.
Yeah.
So icing is when you go past two lines with the puck.
Yeah. So
you get scared and you just hit it. Get away from me! Don't touch me.
Yeah, bingo. It's like a bitch move, right?
Okay.
So let's say it passes center ice, then the blue line, then back to the goal line, which is the next red line.
Okay.
If it gets there, then they'll call an icing on you.
What color are your eyes?
Blue.
What color is your hair? Kind of
brown hair.
Brown hair.
Why? That's why.
See, because I don't know like white people hair. To me, it looks blonde, and you got dishwater blonde. You got dirty blonde.
What would you call this?
You got red. You got strawberry blonde.
I got kind of a reddish beard.
Okay, so you got the blue eyes. You're a white dude. You became a cop, and the go-to move is well, you beat up in high school, but then you played hockey and you fought. So I don't think you were a little bitch.
No.
Why did you want to be a cop?
That's always bugged me, the whole beat up in high school. Which don't get me wrong, that has happened. I know cops who were bitches in high school or junior high, whatever, and then became cops. Kind of this power trip, but that's the minority, right? So it does kind of bug me. I was not beat up in high school. I was not bullied. It was just something that interested me. I thought it looked badass. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to run fast with lights and sirens and go to calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you became a cop at 21. That first day, what's that like?
Power trip. kind of a power trip. Look, if I'm being honest.
Do you hear what you just said? The last fucking paragraph.
Yeah. Look, I'm not asking you to understand it.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I was living at home. I wasn't married yet, so I was still living at home with my mom. And I went. The agency I got hired for, they sent me down to this business. They said, "Hey, tell them you just got hired. They're going to give you your uniform. It's got all the patches. Anyway."
Hey. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you left for the first day at work and you put your uniform on, your mom's taking pictures with that Polaroid Instamatic, right?
I got him. Yeah.
Did you go, Mom? You don't have nothing to worry about.
I got you.
I'm the law now. Did you say anything like that? Anything cool?
I didn't have to say anything.
And then getting your pickup truck with the dust in the back.
And I didn't know that I was doing it until my mom said to me, after taking a picture of me standing in front of my Ford Ranger, which was an awesome truck back then. She took a picture and she said, or maybe it was my brother that said it, said, "You're kind of strutting right now."
Yeah.
I had the uniform on. I felt I had the badge on. I didn't have a gun because I hadn't gone through the academy or anything like that. I literally had the uniform patches and a badge. And I was walking
Walmart
around.
security guard over here.
That's exact. Walmart security could have done more than me at the time. I hadn't gone to the academy. I was walking around. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of a badass." And so my brother was like, "Dude, you're kind of strutting right now." So that was my first day. I felt like a badass, but that changed quickly when I got into the thick of it. But yeah.
All right. So how long were you in the academy?
So at the time, way back when I got hired, there was actually like dozens and dozens of people fighting for a single position, right? So I think the sheriff's office was hiring 3 people, and there was like 60 people that showed up for this. We'd all do the physical test. We all did everything. I ended up getting hired. So they had a lot of people to choose from. I felt like a badass.
So you beat out 56 other people.
Yeah. And so that was kind of on my mind. I was like, I'm a badass. They wanted me, so I'm a badass. So I got hired. I went to the jail.
57 other people, my math.
Yeah, good call. So I didn't go to the academy. They had to put me on a waiting list. I had to wait, I think it was 4 months before I could go to the academy. So for that 4-month period, I had to sit in a pod, and my only job, I couldn't have contact with the inmates. My only job was to click doors, open and closed. That was all day long.
In the jail?
In the jail. So I was sitting there, but then on my first or second day, I'm sitting there opening doors, closing doors like I was supposed to, and then a big old fight among inmates broke out, and a group of officers went running in. There was 6 or 7 big ass inmates brawling in the day room, and then 4 or 5 scrawny ass cops went running in, and they started tackling them all. It kind of was a thing for a minute, and I remember watching this from my safe little pod there, and kind of made me poop a little bit. It scared me just a little bit. I was thinking, look, this is fun, but that's like a real situation there. So, me feeling like Billy Badass lasted for about 20 hours.
So when you went home to your mom, you go, "Mom, I'm not the law anymore."
Yeah, you're like, I remember thinking to myself, "Mom, this is cool, but I don't know if I can do that." Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie. There was some doubts crept in.
So you said you wanted to go fast in cars, but you're in a jail.
Yeah. So at the time, I knew that was a good jumping ground for me. Jail was always hiring.
So that's not the same thing then.
No. Now, right now, you can get hired, and you can get hired, go to the academy, and start pushing around a patrol car, be a police officer. Back then,
why didn't you drive it?
Yeah, I suppose you could. I mean, the old school thing to do would be push it around. Yeah.
Make sure you park on a hill.
Apparently, they know Seth's dad over there in Central Africa, and they just push the cars everywhere.
Right.
Just go.
That was awesome, man. That was awesome. Sorry. Anyway, we digress.
But back then, there were so many people, so many solid people putting in to become officers that the turnover, the hierarchy went, generally speaking. You become hired, you get hired, you're working in the prison or the jail, and then you decide you want to start working in patrol. So you get hired with the police agency, start working in patrol. And that was a typical progression.
So you get hired in the jail, you matriculate to outside.
Exactly.
The regular, what do they call it?
Like you see on cops stuff.
Yeah, like patrol, the ones driving the police cars, right?
Okay.
Because I drove my personal vehicle to the jail every day, worked inside for my 8 to 12 hours, went home. And repeat. So
did you fight a lot in the jail?
I got a lot of fights in the jail.
You fought a lot.
I got. So I don't know how to define a lot, but for me, a lot. I didn't get in fights regularly, but yeah.
So as the Italians say, you're making your bones. I made my fucking bones over here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, fuck it.
And he's waiting for a ref to step in, but that's icing.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Did you pull the shirt over their head?
Let me tell you. 2 fights come to mind. First fight. So first of all, there's a lot of bullshit that's taught in the police academy. One of them, especially in the corrections academy, is PPCT, pressure point control tactics. And this is where the bullshit, you'll have the instructor tell you, if you put your thumb behind the ear and push forward on the jaw, it causes so much pain, they're going to come into compliance. Or if you start rubbing on their sternum here, it's going to cause so much pain.
This is somebody that's trying to punch you in the face?
They say, right? So I graduated the academy, and in my mind, I'm like, yeah, PPCT, I don't even need to get physical with these clowns because I'm going to go put my thumb behind their ear.
You thought you were a fucking Jedi.
Yeah. Huh? I'm like, they just taught me all I needed to know. I'm Bruce Lee.
Okay.
Right? So I think that. And one day there was a fight. I remember this guy's name. His name was Dustin. He got into a fight. And they yelled out. The pod officer said, "Hey, there's a fight in this pod." So I went screaming down there with a couple of other officers. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get my stripes. I'm fresh out of the academy. I'm gonna get into a fight." So I jump on this kid. He's punching a guy, and I jump on his back and I shove my thumb behind his ear, start pushing his jaw forward. And I'm like, "I got you now, bitch." And I remember he just kind of turned back and looked at me, and he turned and he said, "Moral, what are you doing?" He didn't do a damn thing to settle down. He's still punching this guy, and he overcame this like Jedi move I had on his ear. And it was in that moment I realized that PowerPoint pressure control tactics bullshit.
You're out.
Yeah. Didn't do a dang thing. It's really just street fighting is what cops do to control people. And that's what I learned.
Could you imagine? Like if I'm punching you in the face, not that that's gonna hurt. Okay. But let's be
He's
hypothetical.
like, yeah. Okay.
And then I stick my thumb behind your ear. What?
I think you into some freaky shit is what I think.
No, I'm not that kind of guy.
I knew it got down a little weird.
Yeah.
So being working in a prison jail.
It was a jail.
So jail is where people go before they go to prison for the most part,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They have some prison inmates there, but yes, you're right.
What type of shit do you see?
Meaning what specifically? Because I'll tell you, they if you see it in a prison, you'll see it in the jail.
Okay, I watched the Oz back in the day, and I know there was a lot of prison rape and people getting shit on.
Yep. So I'm glad you said that. The guy that
You're glad I said it.
Well, because it leads me into this. The guy that I did that thing to, and I'm not discounting him for any reason, but he was the pod bitch. He was the gay guy that everybody banged in the jail.
Dustin.
Did
you see it? Do you stop it? Do you let it happen?
We let it happen. So they actually I won't want to say let it happen. That sounds crooked, but we know that it's happening, and we kind of try to prioritize things, and that's a low priority. They'd actually put playing cards up in the window. They'd close the door, put a playing card in the window, and that meant one of two things. It either meant I'm in here taking a shit, or it meant I'm in here banging Dustin.
But Dustin had hands. Dustin was beating the shit out of somebody one day.
Yeah. There was something went south there. I don't know the details of that. Something went bad there. Girlfriend, boyfriend situation. But Dustin was a hoe. Dustin was getting nailed by a lot of guys in the pod.
All right, so you say a hoe. What did Dustin get out of it? Prison mentality. What did he get out of it?
And I was never an inmate, but he was getting he was getting left alone. I mean, he was a child molester who was in prison, who was in jail. So maybe for that reason, it was kind of a personal protection scenario. He was giving it up, and he was being left alone and allowed to survive, I guess, because
I thought child molesters had a rough ride in jail.
And I guess if you're banging dudes, they'll give you a pass. They do, generally speaking.
Wow.
They really, really do. You have to hide that fact from the other inmates, otherwise they're in.
I don't understand why we don't kill those people.
I don't
and I'm not saying you've been accused of it. I'm saying it's the one where you walk in on somebody.
Right. That's an egregious situation, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because anybody can say anything, right? But I'm talking to one you see, this motherfucker.
Yep. And you can't dispute it because here's the evidence.
Bang, bang.
Yep. That's a problem. And that's why I don't want to say that the inmates have this figured out and the justice system doesn't. But a lot of times these inmates take it upon themselves to handle that. They know what's going on in there, and sometimes they take care of it themselves.
Did you enjoy working in the jail?
I did. I actually thoroughly enjoyed working in the jail.
So why'd you leave?
It didn't scratch the itch. I wanted to be the guy. When I put in my notice, I told my sergeant I got hired with this police agency. He goes, "Hey, if you just want to go out chasing taillights all night long, then I guess that's what you want to do." But that's really what it is. I wanted to drive a car with the red and blue lights on top, the sirens. I wanted to respond to traffic accidents. I wasn't getting any of that in the jail. And I wanted to do the stuff that I was seeing on cops. I wanted to do the stuff that I saw chase the bad guys. I wanted to do that.
You wanted to chase naked dudes.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
You sick a dog that you're scared of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how long were you in the jail?
3 years, almost 3 years.
All right, and so you come out and then you go and would you do patrol?
Yep, I worked as a patrol officer. And
when I hear patrol, I think of Officer O'Malley walking the streets
walking
with
the
shillelagh,
beat. Yeah,
right, swinging the shillelagh around.
Yeah.
It's not much different. I worked for a podunky ass small police agency, like 8 guys, had 8 cops. So I got hired on, and it was legitimately, I didn't know how to be a cop. I went through the academy, but I didn't know the day-to-day workings of a police officer. And this was such a small agency that they tossed me the keys and said, hey, the bathrooms at the park, lock them up at 10:30. And that's all I knew. I got my car and I went to work, right? So, but it was a small agency I went to, and I learned a lot because I worked by myself, and I made a lot of stupid mistakes that some experienced guys from the county would help me out with. But
such as what? If you care to talk about
the one that comes to mind is I went to a fight. It was a kind of a riot gang fight situation. There was about 15 people going at it. There were weapons.
A gang fight? I thought you were in a small town. So was it like the Hatfields and McCoys?
Yeah. I wouldn't call it like straight up, South Central Comptons and Bloods, but it was Group A against Group B, and they were young adults, 18 to 25 years old. So they were legit people trying to kill each other. Baseball bats, whole 9 yards. So I roll in there, new cop, new guy. Everyone sees me in the red lights in the police car. They drop their bats, whatever they have, and they go running into houses. I see all the houses they run into, and I'm standing out front, and a deputy rolls up. This guy's been working for like 26 years or something. He's like, okay, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
What do we do? And he's like, well, where'd they go? And I'm like, they went to that house and they went to that house. He's like, okay, maybe let's go into those houses. Right?
You can go in that house?
Stupid things like that. Well, we can certainly maybe go and investigate that house.
But you say go in that house. You can't run into that house.
I could have initially. There's a period of time as they're running in there. I could have chased him and gone right in without any reason. But at that time, I kind of watched him go in there, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and this guy shows up. There's enough time that had passed that at that point we probably needed a warrant to go in. But we didn't need a warrant to go up, knock on the door, and ask people to step outside, which is what we ended up doing. And
Did they come outside?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not saying they're smart criminals. Okay. But yeah, they came outside. Wow. We made the arrest, but I think it all to that officer, that deputy who kind of showed me the way there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's your first big deal.
That was my first one that I remember really not knowing what to do, not having a single clue about what to do, and being very grateful that this experienced dude came and was willing to help.
All right, what's some of the things you've been on that like fucked with you?
A couple things come to mind. Very first ones that come to mind that messed with me personally, a 2-year-old boy that drowned in a small pool, and they called that in. It was on a Saturday morning. And
I used to remember the day.
Oh, I remember it very vividly. Yeah, Saturday morning I got called up, and I got there really quickly. It was a small town, so I got there very, very quickly. I pulled this kid out of the pool. He was not breathing. Started doing CPR. Asked him what his name was. His name was Logan. I had just had a baby boy. He was about 2 years old at the time, named Logan. And this kid looked very much like him.
Are you fucking serious?
Dead serious. So helicopter came. That kid died. And that one messed with me. I had a very difficult time externalizing things. I would internalize a lot of things.
That was how far into your career was this?
So I left the jail after about 3 years, and that was probably less than 1 year into my patrol. So I was in this less than 4 years.
Do you call your kid Logan by his middle name?
I should. I know, right? I should.
No, seriously, that would fuck with you.
No, I don't. Yeah. It messed me up, and still to this day, there's probably some lingering effects to that. There's probably some insecurities or some issues that I have.
So you're maybe 5 years into your career, and here you are, 22, almost. Well, let's call it 22 years. Now you're done. So 17 years later. You still remember that? That's the first question.
Saturday.
Yep, and I don't even have to think about it. That's what I remember. And it's things like that. That happened. You fast forward about 3 years. There was another situation with a little girl, a red-headed girl, died of SIDS in her crib, a little bow in her hair. Her name was Lily. At that time, I had a baby named Lily, who was a redhead girl.
You're making this shit up.
I'm not making it up.
So you need to stop naming your kids trendy names.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gathering here. Go with like Rupert.
Yeah. Ain't shit happened to my daughter Sadie yet. Wait, I don't knock on wood. That's messed up. But no, those are the things like I would internalize, and that took a lot of. People will say cops are cynical, cops are dicks, this, that, and the other. There's truth to that, but it's a protection mechanism, and I learned to put that up. I learned it because of these incidents. Maybe I did become a little bit insensitive to people and situations, but it was because I was kind of protecting me. I was sick of going to my son Logan's death over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I was sick of going to my daughter Lily's death over and over and over again. So you put up these walls, and they make you seem a little bit like a dick, and I get that.
So here's what I hear when you tell me these stories. So you left the jail where you dealt with an array of people. And you go to a small town, which what I hear when you say small town, you went with a bunch of white people.
Yep.
Right? You didn't deal with many minorities. And we got to talk about the climate now in policing.
Sure.
All right, so you started in what, 2000?
Right.
I was alive in 2000, so was Wood here.
Yeah, I was around.
And things that have happened in the past 3 years now, it's a totally different thing. So when you came upon blacks, Mexicans, Asians, fucking Indians, whatever. Can you go? Which one's the Indians?
Indians or Indians? You got natives and you got Indians.
So Native Americans are here.
Yeah, Native
and then
American.
the Indians are from India.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I still think that, and whether it's PC or not, I don't know, but I still think people call natives Indians here.
Yeah. I think they're starting to shy away from it, but you're right.
Yeah, I think it still happens.
I have a very good I'm gonna say native friend, and he's like, Indian's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Anywho,
know. Yeah.
you started dealing with people with different color skin than you.
Yep.
Was that hard for you at all? Because you played hockey too. That's a white fucking sport.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
you can say certain sports are white or not. Hockey, 100%. You're right. Well, it's a white sport.
When you think when I see black people out there playing hockey, I'm like, God damn, you had a rough ride, man.
No, first of all,
this is like
ride.
Selma in 1954. You know what I mean?
Yes. Front of the school bus shit, right? Like, you got to give them mad respect for being out there. Yes. Absolutely, I'm with you.
All right.
So to answer your question, no, there wasn't much of a difference in the way that I treated people. Now, look, you could talk all day long.
I'm not saying you treated people different,
right?
But I'm saying culturally. I mean, me and Wood tight, right? But Wood knows there's things from my culture that are different than what he grew up with,
Yep.
Right.
vice versa.
Right.
And all I can speak of is my experiences, and I can tell you that what helped me in that regard with my experiences was living in Mexico for 2 years. In Mexico, as a white dude who could not speak the language for about 8 months or so.
Damn.
I kind of feel like a dick for saying this, but I was on the receiving end of some racist shit. I was told over and over again, hey, white boy, go home. You're not welcome here, this type of thing. So, and I also realized while I was there that my culture, my way of living is not the norm when you're looking at a global perspective. They live totally differently. So I was able to draw from that, bring it back, realize that there are differences in culture. So generally speaking, I didn't see any issue personally with the officers that I dealt with as having problems while dealing with minority races.
You say you and the officers
The officers I dealt with, I did not come across that, maybe with a couple of exceptions, and those exceptions are probably as a result of a degree of ignorance, not a degree of malice on their end.
Well, racism is ignorance, but it can turn into malice.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
So
I
that's where, and I don't even know how to go about it. Like they said some.
And keep in mind, right? I'm not asking you to speak for all white people or all cops. I'm just talking about your thing. So don't feel like you're qualified to speak for all cops,
Right.
because I'm gonna say I got family members on the job, all right, and I understand sometimes somebody's just an asshole, and they're an asshole whether they're a fucking baseball player, professional, or whether they're a fucking mayor of a city, or whether they're fucking a grocery store clerk, or whether they're a mailman or a fucking cop.
Right.
That person's gonna be an asshole no matter where you stick them.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Yeah.
So I just want you to understand. I'm not trying to pinpoint you. I'm just asking you that question.
And you're fine. So from my perspective, personally, did I see incidences of racism among police officers towards any degree, any minority? I didn't personally interact with that. But I'm not so ignorant as to say that didn't happen. It didn't happen with me around. But I also worked in small agencies for the first half of my career. Second half was with larger agencies. But I honestly never personally saw it.
Okay, again, my ears would.
Yeah.
I hear large agency. Mm-hmm. What do I hear? What do I hear, Wood?
I don't know. Larger agency?
God damn it, Wood. I thought you... I just talked about how tight we were. When I hear larger agency, I'm going to say there's more people of minority persuasion.
Yeah.
Well, don't now, motherfucker. Get on my fucking...
To my defense...
Now he's kissing my ass,
No,
right?
in my defense, I've been helping you with that bottle of salted caramel. And the fact that I'm not glossed over 100% is surprising because I'm to be honest with our listeners, thank goodness this releases Sunday because I'm struggling.
Do you know how I know? Because when you're talking, he kind of does this. He kind of squints his eyes like this.
Yeah.
And that's how I know.
Yeah. I'm deciding if I want to speak cursive or not.
And I know exactly where you're going with this, Keith. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that in a larger agency, you're going to have more of a diverse population,
correct,
right? And so there's bound to be more contact among different cultures, things like that. And you're exactly right. I did see that. And what I found was that in these larger agencies, there tended to be more training about how to interact culturally with these different cultures, because also with a larger agency, I'm not talking about working for an agency of 300 white dudes, right?
Right.
So we worked in an agency that was very culturally diverse, that met in large part the cultural diversity of the population that it served. So my first agency, 8 dudes. We were all 8 white dudes.
Yep.
Without question. Mm-hmm. And we served an agency that was largely a white population. Okay. I moved to a larger agency down the Salt Lake Valley where there's almost 300 officers. The population is very diverse. You got blacks, you got whites, you got Polynesians, you got Hispanics. But the police agency also had that. Now, admittedly, it probably was not at the right proportion. We could have done much better at some of our hiring practices. But we received some much better training about how to go about those interactions. So
and you spent some time in Mexico, so you speak that shit, huh?
I do speak that shit.
So you down there with them little Latin
and
girls.
I'll tell you, it creeped some people out. When there was a dude, I know shit. So my smaller agency, I worked with an Officer Garcia. Mm-hmm. This guy was whiter than any white guy you've ever met. Officer Garcia, he looked Hispanic, did not speak Spanish. We went on a domestic violence call, and it was a Hispanic family that only spoke Spanish. They get there and they look at the name tags. They got my name tag and they got Garcia's name tag. So they're over there like
talking to him.
Yeah, blah, 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 Officer Garcia.
He's sweating.
Officer Garcia would then look at me and I would do the translate, and then this family's eyes were like, bah!
Fucking hilarious.
Like, what?
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories, yeah.
But you banging Garcia's sister, aren't you?
That's probably what they thought. They're like, there's only one explanation for this shit. Yeah.
Oh shit! I was gonna say something. I don't know. Okay. I think I'm not gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a pause in our conversation here with Ryan, and I teased this throughout the week that we have a special announcement.
Oh shit!
So if you've made it 1 hour into this podcast,
we're an hour in? Are we an hour in?
Yeah, we're an hour in. Yeah.
Wow.
So time flies when you're having fun. So if you
time flies when you're avoiding the cops.
That is true. And if you made it this far in, I've been teasing out that we've got a special announcement, some exciting news. I don't know if it's exciting or not, but here it is.
People have been asking me what the fucking news is, and I'm like, I don't know. Well, I have no idea what the news is. Yeah.
Well, you do know. I just made it sound a little bit more exciting than it probably really is, but it is a change for SoWhutChuSayin. For almost 5 years now, 4.5 years, we've been doing the same thing on the same day, week after week after week. Have
fucking
we not?
Up our livers.
Yep. Yeah. Every Sunday evening, without fail.
Liver gets his ass kicked. Okay.
Well, from this day forward, SoWhutChuSayin is going to go live every Friday. We're going to record on Fridays.
Okay, say mostly Fridays.
Mostly Fridays.
Right, Am I part of an inaugural situation here?
Yes.
Part of a what?
Don't make me say it again. Inaugural. How did I say it?
I don't know. But
am I part of an inaugural?
Yep, that one. Inaugural.
Yeah, you are.
So Fridays is when we're going to go live from now on. Well, mostly Fridays from now on we're going to go live. Now, we'll probably release this because this does a couple of things. One, he gives us a weekend to destroy our liver for 3 days in a row. And it secondly gives me 2 additional days to edit this thing that sometimes, I'm putting on a rush.
Mumble Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So audio only is still going to be released Sunday nights as usual. But if you want to watch us live, which a lot of you are jumping over and watching the video, know that you can get that a couple days early now on Fridays.
I like how you did this in the middle of the podcast where you just fucking
Yeah. Yeah. I got to make them wait for it. I mean, we got enough people right now hanging around wondering what's going on. There it is, guys. Live Fridays, audio as normal on let me
Sunday.
Audio is normal on Sundays, guys. So check us out as you always would. But here we go. We got Bruce over here. He says that he's destroying his liver with us tonight. So here we go. Let's keep on going.
Bruce, become a veteran. All right? do it to the point you don't even have to talk about that.
Yeah,
It's just it's unsaid.
Yeah, that's right.
But thank you, Bruce, for hanging out with us. All right, so you're talking to Puerto Ricans. You're
Puerto Ricanos.
You're naming your kid after people that you encounter, which is weird to me. Yeah. That's like fucking Pet Cemetery.
It's
to
like
me.
a head,
right? Yeah,
right?
That feels like it.
You're running, and you're at a small agency. You said you went to another agency.
Yeah,
which wasn't as big, and you went to a large agency.
Yep, I've worked for a handful of. I worked for the sheriff's office in the jail. Then I worked for a small police agency.
8 people.
Yeah, 8 people as a police officer and a school resource officer to junior
8 white guys.
Oh yeah.
So when you moved to the next agency, did you have any girls?
Yep.
Or anybody?
My next agency was a little bit of a bigger agency, still considered a small agency. We had girls and we had a couple of minorities that worked there.
What minorities?
We had a Hispanic gal, so we kind of a
Did
double.
she speak Spanish?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, I was.
Did you bang her?
No.
No, because you spoke Spanish. I mean,
Yeah. No.
Because that's what happens. You
I
speak
was
Spanish, you bang
terrified.
'em.
I was terrified to speak Spanish with
it goes
her.
in the pornos.
Spanish was her natural language, so I was scared to speak it with her because she would judge me. But yes, and then after.
All right, I'm not going to say the obvious joke with the judging.
Yeah.
But,
Go ahead.
All right. So anyhow, so you how long did you work at the second agency?
I was there for 10 years. I was there for a long time. Right, I loved it. But then
you loved it so much you left.
right, you know what though? Money,
guys, I'm out.
money signs started to flash in my eyes.
What is the cop started at? So you started in 2000. What was a cop making?
I started at $12.12 an hour.
No, I'm being serious.
Dead serious. That's what
No,
I started.
I'm being serious. What'd you start at?
Damn.
$12
an
and
hour?
12 cents an hour. And my my every paycheck I was getting, and it's easy to remember, I was getting $666.66 every 2 weeks.
Damn, that's
have a
curse. You should have known that you were gonna watch your children die over and over with that number.
Right.
I remember, I was.
That's kind of a dick thing to say.
I was.
I can't believe you said that.
I was slightly managing. I was managing a Blockbuster making that much money, because that was, I saw my future as like the owner of all the Blockbusters, and that's how much I was making at Blockbuster.
For the record, I wouldn't have chosen to make that to watch my child die over and over again. But you're right. There is a look. Cops don't become cops to become rich. There's a draw for a good retirement package.
It's half a bottle. Leave me alone. Let him keep talking. He's saying something about getting rich.
He's talking about his kids dying and shit. Let him go.
Okay, so at the jail, did you get stabbed at the jail? Did anybody try and stab you?
You get shanked. I think that's what
I
you
did
said.
not get. I did
You
not.
get
I
shanked?
stopped some shankings, but I did not get shanked.
Anybody ever you ever shoot at anybody? Anybody ever shoot at you at your first 2 agencies?
Let's say no. I watched a couple people commit suicide right in front of me, blow their heads
What?
off.
Is that something you want to talk about?
I'll talk. I'll talk about it. I got no problem.
What happened?
So first one was a police chase. Dude stole a gun, stole a truck. We started chasing him. I did a pit maneuver, spun his truck out.
did a what?
Pit maneuver. You've seen it. It's where the cop car kind of spins out the rear end of the car he's chasing.
It's when they crash into the back of the
You
bad
can
guy.
say crash, I
So you, like,
suppose,
ram
but it
him?
spins him out. And then I stopped right next to it because I'm a dumbass. I stopped right next to the driver's door. He pulled up a gun. I drew my gun. I got stuck in my seatbelt.
Slow the fuck down, please.
No, it's going 100 miles an hour.
Hold on. Let me finish and then follow up with your question.
Okay.
I got stuck next. So driver's side to driver's side, got stuck. I jumped out because I saw him pull a gun up. I drew my gun. I got stuck in my seatbelt. I drew down the guy. Guy put the gun to his head. Pow, blew his head off. And that's my story.
Did you still shoot him?
I did not still shoot him. Blew his head off before I shot him.
But
it was close enough that I didn't know. It was one of those weird situations where you're involved that I was prepared to shoot him, and I didn't know when I heard the report of the gunshot and his head blowing up. I didn't know if it was him that shot or me that shot. It was kind of one of those.
What are you talking
weird...
about? You didn't know if it's him and you. You don't know if you shoot somebody?
It's a weird situation.
See, that's the thing. That's the
I
thing
think I need
going
to drink more.
There you go.
So
what?
No, I'm gonna pass out. I gotta keep going.
What the fuck is a pit maneuver?
PIT maneuver is PIT stands for Pursuit Intervention Technique. So you'll see it on TV all the time. You have a person running from police in the vehicle. Police officer right behind him. Police officer comes up, touches the front end of the police officer's car to the rear end of the suspect car, moves just a little bit. Suspect car spins out. That's the PIT maneuver.
You're making me want to do that on a freeway.
Dude,
with
it's
those
cool.
motherfuckers driving slow.
It's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Apparently on what day is today? Friday. I don't typically drive around on Friday during the day, but I did today for various reasons. Apparently, everybody that drives slow is driving today, or was driving today, and I wanted to do that to every one of them.
Yeah, you could
Just
have
ram them off the road.
just
Get
call
down,
it a
guys.
crash, but yeah, you could.
So that was one, and then what else did you have?
Another one, me and my buddies, it was a situation where they said they hadn't heard from their family member in several days. They thought something was wrong. We got to the house. We went inside. There was still lingering smoke.
You act like you see. This is what bothers me with you guys. You make it sound like you can just walk in anybody's house. We went there. We went inside. The people ran in the house. I was gonna run in after them.
Great question.
What the fuck, man?
So this you call it a welfare check, right? There is a dude that has not been answering families' questions. They've been texting. It's been weird. We're afraid he's in there dead or hurt.
I know what a welfare check is, and it doesn't sound like that.
Okay.
So welfare check is on the 1st and the 15th. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, and back in the day, it had perforated edges.
You're right. So what do you mean welfare check?
That shit struck me funny.
This doesn't sound like the one my mother was waiting for. Okay.
No.
None of those checks showed up.
Family's worried about the welfare of this person. They think
Their
maybe
well-being.
he's dead or hurt. His well-being.
So why don't they go over there?
They did, but they couldn't get in. And had they kicked the door in to go in and check, that would have been all well and good.
Why didn't they do it?
For whatever reason.
Okay.
They didn't. They called police. So in situations like that, we're not trying to go in and arrest anybody
So
for
if
any
I'm in my house watching porn for 3 days straight, and my neighbor hasn't
police
seen me,
might kick that shit in.
and catch me with my meat in my hand.
As long as
But I'll tell you what.
Well, if you've done it 42 times, remember that'll kill you.
I'll tell you what. If you're in there, family's worried about you, call the police. We'll show up. We might kick your door in. We'll walk in. We'll see you jerking off to porn. We're gonna be like, hey, we're sorry. We want to make sure you're good, and we're gonna turn around, walk away, and leave.
But you can get shot like that, kicking in somebody's door, especially in this state where a lot of people have guns.
Yeah.
So don't you have to be careful with that shit?
You betcha. Yeah, it's not anything that is taken lightly.
So you get the call, you go in there, and it's, I don't know, 1016, right? Sure. Or
1087, whatever it is.
1087,
Yep, I don't know.
1045, right? So you walk in there with a 1045 on your mind. No, that's a 1039. You walk in there with a 1039 on your mind, you kick the door in, and that's okay. You can just walk up and kick the fucking door in on a 1039.
Under certain situations where we're just trying to, check on the welfare of the person, we think maybe they're in there hurt, something like that.
So you're breaking my door for my health.
Right, but I am not trying to. The problem would be is we're trying to, if we're trying to arrest you, something like that, we're trying to bring charges upon you. I can't just go kicking in your door. That shit's going to get suppressed in court, right? I want to make sure you're okay. I'm not going to bring any charges on you or anything like that.
What's the crime against sitting in my house for 4 days because nobody saw me?
No
so
crime.
why are you kicking in my door?
And there's been instances of that. There's been instances where we have had a similar situation. We'll go in, we'll kick the door in. We're like, bah, we're going to find a dead body in here. Boom. And we just see some dude jerking off, and he's like, I didn't want to talk to my family.
You've literally seen that?
Situations similar to that. And you know what we do?
Help him finish.
Yeah.
After that.
You call Dustin.
So after that... After that, we kind of wipe our mouths, right?
What? Oh.
Yeah, we'll wipe our mouths off and we'll be like, hey, we're sorry. So we will and I've done this. I've apologized. I've explained, hey, we came here because we thought maybe you were in here hurt or dead. Your family's worried about you. We leave, and then I arrange to fix the door that I just kicked in. because
you come in on a Saturday, you with your tool belt and fix it.
Yeah. I have a qualified professional show up to fix it.
Really?
You betcha, yeah, because you can maybe.
That's weird to me because somebody hasn't seen me for X amount of days. You can come and fucking boot my door.
They have to have family has to have a legitimate reason, right? I mean, if they say we haven't heard from him in a few days, this is weird. And they'll be like, well, when's the last time you heard from him?
Anybody can say that though,
right? But if we say when's the last time you heard from him, and they say, well, back in 2009, when he called us, we'd be like, we're not going to kick in his door, right? But if they're like, we talk to him every day, we haven't heard from him.
Anybody
in 4
can
days.
say that though,
right?
Yeah.
And we can kick in the door for that. Just to check.
That's incredible.
So if you don't show up to the woodshed next week,
I might think it's Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's Friday.
Yeah. Don't get your days mixed up.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick in your door.
That's okay. Yes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
don't want to blanket statement anything, but under certain situations in which it's the better judgment of law enforcement and family, whoever's involved in that situation, that is the best course of action. You bet. Yeah.
That sounds like a fireman situation to me.
Yeah.
Like, because firemen got all those cool tools.
You know what? This is bullshit. I'm just going to say, this is bullshit.
Oh, boy.
You're talking about public service, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, fireman, my cream in my pants, fireman, right? Because they show up, my family needs help. They show up and save me. They're so hot in their muscles and their hoses and shit. You know what? It's bullshit. Because cops are the first ones that show up 100% of the time.
What do you mean?
If there's an emergency, family needs help, someone's choking, right? I won't say 100% of the time, but someone's choking, there's an emergency. It's the patrol officer that arrives first, right? Tries to help out as best they can, and then the firemen and their fucking fire trucks show up. Everything's awesome. Everyone loves them. They show up in their awesome turnout, and then they grab the baby that I just saved, and all of a sudden it's the firemen that are the hero. Okay. Right? No, firemen, God bless them.
So you're saying firemen
but cops show up first, right?
Well,
cops get the bad rep because we take daddy to jail. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a mom say to her kids, Officer so-and-so showed up because he's going to take your daddy to jail.
Okay.
Scaring the kids to death. Yes, we take people to jail.
Well,
but
to
we
be
also
fair,
save lives.
To be fair, the firefighters have nice calendars.
Yeah, they got calendars. I could show you a cop calendar. You don't want the one that I'm starring in, but I could show you some cop calendars.
So you were a cop for 22 years.
Yeah.
What movie or TV show is the most accurate of cop life?
Ooh,
good question.
Alex, what is none?
That's a great question.
I'm going to go Mark for Death with Charles Bronson.
Never saw it.
Okay, I'm going to go a Dirty Harry movie. Lethal Weapon. Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, no.
Bad Boys.
So here, truth, I can't
It's gotta be Bad Boys.
I can't watch cop movies. Period. That's it. I can't watch cop movies. I have never once seen a cop movie that I find anywhere near reality. I find them all disgusting and Hollywood.
There's
laden.
nothing that's even close.
No, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, no. I have not found a Hollywood movie that legitimately depicts law enforcement, period. End of discussion.
What are they missing?
Everything.
Whoa.
General police tactics, their communications with people, the fact that
Their tin codes. Their tin codes are all fucked up.
Okay, the fact that every police movie I've ever seen shows a bunch of dumbass patrol officers showing up and tripping over each other. Meh, we don't know what to do. And then you have these suave-ass detectives showing up in their suit and ties and barking out orders. There is nothing that I find legitimate about a police movie.
I just like the ladies that show up and they're wearing like their low-cut shirts and they're like, hey.
Oh, sure, ain't nothing wrong with that. I'll watch a cop show for things like that.
Like, do you have any children?
So
you want one?
Even like Law and Order, that's not close either?
No.
Really?
There is nothing.
Vincent and fucking Stabler.
Dun-dun.
Never seen it.
So what do you mean you never seen it? SVU?
Oh, okay, you're still talking Law and Order.
Yeah.
I have seen it. No, that is not true to law enforcement at all. There is nothing. I'm trying to think. Hold on.
So I was reading the internets. I was on the internet. I was reading. They're doing like a bracket tournament thing, and it was like, what are some of the best sounds to hear? So like Mario hitting his coin, like the ping, and one of them, and I think it was like number 7 on the list, was the Law and Order dun dun thing.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
They got that locked down.
Dick Wolf really put his foot in that one. But you're not down.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
No, it's legit. But no, and I'm being completely honest. Aside from, and even the show Cops, right? The documentary Cops, it has its issues because if it makes it to the episode of Cops, there's probably a police officer that screwed up royally to the point where that becomes entertaining to watch. Now, if I'm at work, I'm doing everything by the book and I'm keeping things, within policy, it's not going to be entertaining to watch.
Okay.
I'm either going to make an uneventful arrest and go to jail, or I'm going to take a report and go home.
Okay, hold up. This just came to me. What about Dog, the bounty hunter? Isn't he a cop?
Somebody wrote that.
First of all, he's not a cop.
No,
not a cop at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's Dog? What's the difference between Dog and I don't know, the guy that runs with the red and blues on the
So my understanding of Dog the bounty hunter is dude has no arrest authority. He works and
What are you talking about? He puts handcuffs on everybody.
Yeah,
he wrestles.
So I worked as an 18-year-old. I worked as a undercover security guy for local Smith's Food Warehouse. Right?
What?
I'd go.
How'd you skip over that?
I'm sorry. You're right. 18 years old, barely able to do this, carry handcuffs. I would walk around a grocery store pretending to push around a cart, and I would watch for people stealing shit.
Okay.
And if I would find someone stealing something, I'd wait for them to walk past the checkout line, and I'd go meet them at the gate, at the door, and I'd put handcuffs off them, on them.
And you say, I told my mama today I'm the law.
Yeah.
You're going
I'd look at my buddy and I'd say, book him, Dano. Yeah.
Hawaii
Stuff like that.
5-0.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd take him upstairs. We'd call the local police agency who'd come and do their thing and either take him to jail or give him a ticket and send him on their way. It's boring.
Okay.
My job was fun. I'd put handcuffs on people. It's not. There's no TV show or movie out there that I think is legitimate.
So what is the day like as a cop? What do? You get dressed. You tell me you wear a cup, because I would think any girl would try and kick.
Nope.
You don't wear a fucking cup?
Didn't wear a cup.
You don't worry about
Seems
getting your balls
dangerous.
kicked in.
Did you wear
I
one in
never
hockey?
once, 22 years, I did as in a hockey player. Yeah, I was much more likely to get a puck to the nuts as somebody kicking me in the nuts in patrol.
Really?
Yeah, never once happened in 22 years.
Okay.
Never got kicked in the
Wow.
nuts. I straddled a fence or two in which my feet slipped and I fell on the fence and kind of hit my nuts. That was my fault.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all you.
Yeah.
So what is the day like? So here you go. You get dressed. You tell your mama, I'm the law. And you walk out the door. Now what?
Yeah, so I early on in my career, I was stoked to go to work. I'd be gearing up, putting my uniform on like an hour before I was supposed to go. I was excited. It's a Friday night. Things are gonna be exciting. I'd get geared up. I'd go out the door. I'd meet my buddies. We'd go to 7-Eleven, get a coffee, get a drink. We'd talk
donut.
Yep.
You get a donut?
Hey. First of all, I'm not at all offended by
here
people who
comes the
say
cop.
cops
You want
like
a donut?
donuts because donuts are badass.
Everybody thinks donuts are bad.
Yeah.
I've always thought that was stupid.
Yeah.
I like donuts.
Yeah, so that's stupid. We go get a donut, go get a coffee, whatever we get. We talk about how badass the night's going to be.
Can I give you some more mindless trivia?
Yeah.
The reason why they say cops like donuts is because in New York City, back in the day, the only place open 24 hours was the donut shop.
Yeah.
And that's where all the cops went.
Yeah.
And that's where it started.
Yeah.
Yep, and say,
knew
even
that?
when
Yeah,
I got
I did.
hired in 2000, it was like at 3 in the morning, you got your 7-Eleven, and that is all you have available to you is the local 7-Eleven. You can get your donuts, your coffee, or your Coke. That's
Why
what you
is
got.
7-Eleven 7-Eleven and not 24/11?
Because back in the day, they were open from 7 in the morning to 11 at night.
I know, but as I know
Oh,
it,
I thought
as-
you wanted like real trivia.
No, I did. I
Okay.
appreciate it because I want to let everybody else know that as even me as a child, I remember 7-Eleven is 24 hours.
Yeah.
So 7-Eleven from 7 to 11 didn't last long.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, when I went to Cancun, you know that there's a 7-Eleven on the beach in Cancun. Just
Open
in case
24
you're-
hours?
Yeah, In case you ever want to, go to Cancun. It was beautiful.
They sold ecstasy, didn't they?
I liked it.
I don't want to talk about
No
it.
regrets.
I don't care. I'm not a cop anymore.
I have no
That's why
regrets.
we got the bag, right? So anyhow, here you are. Day as a cop. You put your uniform on. You dress
I
an
was
hour
excited.
before.
Yep, go meet my buddies at work. We talk about how badass we're going to make some stops. We're going to find dope. 9 times out of 10, I would drive in circles all night long. I'd maybe find a traffic ticket here or there, and then I would watch YouTube back at the office from like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then go home.
Wait. So I was told by somebody one time who was a cop or used to be a cop or might have been a cop at the time. I can't remember. They said the best time to speed is in the rain because cops don't get out their car in the rain. Is there any-
I get the reasoning, but it doesn't hold water for me. I'd get out in the car. I'd get out. I'd be pissed about it, and you'd be more likely to get a ticket because I'm standing out there getting wet.
Okay.
I better stop my practice.
yeah,
That's your choice to get out there and
That's
get
my
wet.
choice. That's my choice.
So I got to get a
So
ticket
there-
because you're pissed off?
Yeah, there are some cops that'd be like, yeah, he's going 17 over the speed limit. I don't want to get wet. Those cops exist. But we all have a limit. My limit might be 20 over. If you do 20 over, I'm going to pull you over.
20 over?
Holy shit.
Thank you for that. Are there a lot like you out there?
Think about it. If you're like, what's like in my neighborhood here where I'm at, it's like 25. If you're doing 20, you're 45 in my street.
Yeah, you'll get a ticket.
Yeah, I'm throwing rocks at your window.
I'm talking on the freeway. Like the freeway, I'll speed.
Yeah. Sure, everyone speeds.
Right.
So it's 70, you're doing 90.
I didn't mess with that freeway stuff. That's highway patrol. I didn't mess with that freeway stuff.
Oh, so you don't have jurisdiction everywhere?
Jurisdiction would have been. I mean, I could have gone up and pulled someone over, but that's their main priority. Freeways are scary. Honestly, I pulled some cars over on the freeway, and I'm up there talking to the driver. You got cars right next to you zipping by at 70 miles an hour. It's terrifying. I didn't want anything to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's statewide jurisdiction, though.
You can. So you're good anywhere in the state?
Anywhere in the state.
Not the country. I thought George Bush passed something where you're good everywhere in the country.
I could carry my weapon anywhere in the country as a police officer.
But that didn't mean you were a cop everywhere.
Doesn't mean I could go and pull someone over.
Well, that wouldn't make sense if like somebody from Texas or Florida comes to Utah and tries. I'd be like, bitch, who are you?
Yeah, it's a state certification. Each state, unless you're a federal agent, each state has their own certification process.
Elliot Ness.
What now?
Elliot Ness. What the fuck? You guys don't know who Elliot Ness is?
Bro, I don't know.
Sounds important, though.
He took down fucking Al Capone.
Oh.
God, right there.
Sounds like a New York problem.
Any hooch, that'd be Chicago.
Okay, sounds like a Chicago problem.
But now I'm going to...
That sounds like Chi-Town messed up.
About unsolved crimes. Have you ever seen... So you were on patrol the whole time?
No. I did patrol for a handful of years, and then I...
Sounds like a lot of fucking years, because you went to this agency, that agency,
yeah, I worked for 4 different... 5 different agencies. 5. I was patrol.
I only counted 4. So you went to the jail, then you did the small town, then you did a little small town, then you did the big town. We had minorities.
Yeah. We had us some minorities in that town.
And then where'd you go after that?
Then I went to work for the state of Utah. The Utah Attorney General's office is where I worked for the last couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
The exciting job of fighting Medicaid crime. Yeah.
Medicaid crime. Okay.
Okay.
No.
Which one's Medicaid? Which one's Medicare? I get confused.
I can tell you exactly how I figured that out.
How do you figure it out?
I don't know.
So
which
someone
is
told
which?
me that. So Medicare, and this is an insensitive way of saying it, Medicare is regarding people that we care about, the elderly, the people who put in their time.
Shit.
Oh boy.
People we care about, the elderly.
Dude, what are you about
Medicaid,
to say?
What are you about to say? Medicaid for people looking for a handout. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, for Medicaid is people that are like don't qualify for Medicare, right? They're not elderly, they're not disabled, things like that. Out of a job, people that maybe don't want to work qualify for Medicaid. So we aid those that need aid. We care for those we care for. It's insensitive, I know.
Shit.
Yeah, you can get all the comments you want. That's how I was able to figure it out.
So you being the type of guy that wanted to be a cop since the word go, since you were a little kid, you fucking pre-recorded cops, which is weird to me.
It is weird.
I don't know. He said VHS, mind you. He said VHS.
Yeah,
holy shit,
that's
going back.
Ago.
Yeah, that's going back.
I recorded Cheers' last episode on VHS, so I can relate. But you being that type of guy, did you ever go over other cases and like look at them and say, I could solve this shit? Like unsolved cases. I'm talking like the Black Dahlia.
Yeah, no, let me tell you.
I'm talking like the Zodiac Killer. I'm talking like, just unsolved murders across the nation. Did you ever pull up shit from Michigan? I'm going to solve this case.
Let me tell you what.
That's great.
Not Michigan, but when I got started, when I became a detective, I thought I was a good detective. I started looking at these crimes. I'm like, boom, I'm solving my cases. I started looking into cases, and I started thinking that I could solve these older cases. I pulled up some cold cases, and I looked at them, and I immediately backed up. I'm like, nope, I don't want anything to do with this, because they're cold for a reason. It's not cold because the cops got lazy or anything like that. They're cold because it's some hard shit to solve.
Okay.
So I looked at some, thinking I was Billy Badass, and I backed out, like, nope, that is a hard case to solve. There's some issues. So, yeah, if it's cold, it's not because of lazy. Usually, it's not because of lazy cop work. Usually it's because there is some complications to that case that makes it very difficult to solve.
So I asked you a little while ago, were you on patrol the whole time, and did you do anything? Did you do SWAT? You didn't do dogs, because I think you're...
I'm terrified of dogs.
You're terrified
Wasn't
of
interested.
Dogs.
Yeah, no, so I did...
So you don't own a dog right now?
I do own a dog. It's a Labrador Retriever. She's adorable.
Oh, yeah, that thing's not going to
she's
hurt anybody.
so
You can put her under your arm like a pheasant, right?
Yeah, she's sweet.
It would hold its breath until it was about to die.
Yeah, she would look at me with a single tear and be like, "This seems wrong, owner, but okay."
I do this for you.
Yeah, I'll do this for you. She's
like,
a sweetheart.
Like Omen, Damien, I did this for you.
Other people's dogs scare me. So yeah, I was a patrol officer. I was a detective. Did sex crimes investigations. I did homicide investigations. I did officer-involved shooting investigations. Major crime stuff.
Right, so wait a minute. That sounds like major crimes to fucking me. All the shit you just said.
Yeah.
So what is a major crime if that's not a major crime?
Well, that's a great question.
Maybe just a branch, because you're right. Homicide and officer-involved shootings are major crimes.
And sex crimes.
I would say so,
right,
because we just talked about how we should be able to take them out before.
I'd love to smoke those.
Yeah.
I wish that was my job. Like,
So
taking a baseball bat and beating somebody that raped somebody.
Yeah,
yeah.
It feels like
Dexter's type stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. We have a couple questions that just came in.
Okay.
I'm gonna read them in reverse order because I like it that way. Yeah. Is it
Would like his reverse.
is it true they have a monthly ticket quota to meet?
I love that question.
Because it's true.
It's got to be true because
there is
there
is a lot of truth to that, and let me tell you what it is.
What?
It is. Yep, there's a lot of truth to that, and it is not a wide-reaching thing. It's not like state says you need this. So I worked that second and third agency, small agency, bigger agency, but still small, that I worked for. I don't care what you say. I don't care what my coworkers say. They had ticket quotas. If you did not meet your ticket quota at the end of the month, then you could lose some of your pay raise that year. And by definition, that is a ticket quota. So if I was supposed to get 2 tickets per day on average at the end of the month, and I didn't get 2 tickets per day on average at the end of that month, the agency I worked for at the time could withhold a certain percentage of my yearly raise because of that. That is a quota.
That's fucked up.
It is absolutely a dick move, right?
Yeah,
so
why would you have a quota?
Actually, I said fucked up.
And it's fucked up.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what, there was me and there was a handful of other officers that did not abide by that because we didn't think it was right. There were some officers maybe didn't think it was right, but they just wrote a lot of tickets because they were dicks and it wasn't a problem for them. I didn't write a lot of tickets. I let a lot of people go.
Yeah, but you stop them and notify them what you're doing.
I remember being a teenager.
I like those cops.
I'd let them go.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I had a cop when I was younger. He said, you know what? You're driving with your light. I was in Florida. I pulled out a fucking convenience store, bright lights, big city, Matchbox 20, and I pull out, and I didn't forget to turn my lights on. And I'm driving down the fucking street, and he pulls me over. And I'm like, yo, I wasn't like, yo, this is the early 90s. I had my hands on my steering wheel. I was looking straight ahead because you don't want to fucking cause no confrontation, right? All right, you see how tight I got my hands down?
Right,
and he's like, I pulled you over because you don't have your lights on. Why don't you have your lights on? I said, because I just pulled out that convenience store, and I didn't know I didn't have my lights on. I'm like 19. He's like, okay. And he reached in and turned my lights on. Click. And said, okay, you're good to go. And I was like, oh, shit, this is a setup. This motherfucker's going to...
Yeah, right.
He's going to pit maneuver me when I drive away, right?
Yep. That happened more times than not. Even these, like, suburban area white kids, I'd walk up and ask them, tell them why I pulled them over. They'd give me their reason. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't a bullshit reason. I'd be like, okay, I understand that. We'll drive careful. And I'd walk away. I'd be sitting in my police car behind them for like 5 minutes because they didn't dare pull out. Right. They're like, no, he's still waiting on me.
You said suburban white kids, so black people don't live in the suburbs? Is that what you're saying? I know plenty of black people live in the suburbs.
In areas I worked with, I didn't.
Now we're getting there. So go, finish your questions.
We got one more question here. This feels like a wrap it up question, but it's not, even though we're an hour and 24 minutes into this. If you, because it says if you had the chance to go back, would you do it all over again, or would you change careers?
Ooh, that's a
good question.
Yeah, that's why I said it felt like a wrap up, but it's not. We're not wrapping up just yet.
Props on that person.
So if you could go back and do it all over again, would you do the same thing, or would you pick something else?
I did the same thing. For me personally, now that I'm retired, I'm doing other things. I was good at being a cop. You know, I was good at it. I felt like I was out there for the right reasons. I felt like I was good at it. I would do it again because it was very fulfilling for me. And it afforded me an opportunity to work a solid career for 20 years and then take a pension if that's what I chose to do, which is what I did. I'd do it again.
What do you mean? Take a pension if that's what I chose to do?
Could you choose not to take a pension?
Yeah. Or you give it to fucking Barry Sanders because he needs money.
Yeah. After 20 years, I'd still get the pension, but I could have chosen to not retire and continue to work.
Okay. Listen, Bobby Bonilla, I know it's 2035, but I'm going to give you some of mine.
Yeah, but that's a bit of a hypocritical answer because I don't encourage my children to become police officers. I have a daughter who wants to do it. She wants to
Why? Why wouldn't you?
She wants to run dogs as a cop.
But why wouldn't you?
You're scared, number one.
Yeah.
She's already braver than you.
That is true. You just did it for 20 years, 20 plus years. Why wouldn't you want your kids to follow in your footsteps?
Good question. I know the areas in which I'm fucked up. I know the areas that I have legitimate issues. Watching my children die over and over again, dealing with incompetent leaders, which I know you're going to get in any organization you work for. It's not just law enforcement.
Okay.
But poor pay, high risk, things like that. I encourage my children not to do it. Of course, I'll support them if they want to. But so it is hypocritical in that I encourage them maybe to try to find something else. But to do it over again, yeah, I'd do it over again. I have no regrets. I've loved it.
Okay. Again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not asking you to speak for every cop in the nation. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I want to ask you this question, then I'm going to bring something else behind it. How much training did you get after the academy?
So you have to have 40 hours of training every year. That's
40 hours.
That's a minimum.
That's a work week. That's a work week.
But of specific training, like you sign up for training in, for example, one of the most recent trainings I went to was trainings on how to deal with people with autism. That was a training that I did. It was like a...
You definitely deal with those people?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, Wood. Thank you, Wood.
Took me a minute.
Thank you, Wood. Thank you. He was fucking spot on with that one.
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. You threw me off track. Yes, I'm just going to go ahead and say it was a 4-hour training that I did. It was one of my most recent
Do you think that's enough, though? 4 hours on how to deal with people with autism.
Do you
think that's enough?
No, it's an ongoing situation.
All right, I'll get back to your training stuff. I just want to say this. People expect police to show up because me personally, I've never called the cops in my life. Okay?
Right, because you're smart.
No, because my family deals with shit on a different level, okay? But you get there, so you got somebody who's autistic who's fucking batty out, right? Then you got somebody who stole something. Then you got somebody who doesn't want to leave your house. And you guys got to wear a lot of different hats. I do empathize with that. Again, I have family on the job. I understand that. You got people that, have different things. And you're supposed to come and deal with all that shit. 4 hours of autism training is not enough to deal with an autistic person.
No, it's not. And I'll tell you what.
Because I would say, like, parents with autistic children deal with it day in and day out. And most of them...
trained.
But most of them still don't even know what they're doing.
Exactly. And that's what she said.
Him with 4 hours.
Oh, hell yeah, they are.
It was the mother of an autistic child who put on this training. Okay. And she admitted that she doesn't have enough training as the parent of an autistic child, let alone does she expect law enforcement to have the training. So, no, we can't get enough training, right? Okay. We simply cannot. We do the best we can to get that training. So we have to have 40 hours to maintain our certification. Is it enough?
So you say 40 hours. So you got 36 hours left. So you did 4 hours of autistic training. And then what?
Then, for example, I'd have 10 hours of firearms training. We go to the range, make sure.
Oh, see, that's weird to me.
Right? No, I know where you're going with this.
And that's why people want social workers. Although I don't agree with that because a social worker walk into a situation. But people hear this and they go, "Oh, you got 10 hours of fucking how to shoot a gun and kill black people," because that's what the climate is now, right?
No, I see what
Let's
you're saying.
be real. Let's be real, right? To kill black people, but you got 4 hours of autistic training.
Yeah. No, and I see exactly where you're going, and I'll tell you what, it's a simple answer. It's nothing to be read in politically. It's that firearms it's more fun to go to the range and shoot my gun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's more fun to go to the range and shoot my gun than it is to go and learn about a mental illness, right? As much as we need that mental illness training, it's more fun to go to the range. So we can build more hours around getting trained with our firearms.
So it's not as sexy.
But you've never shot your gun on duty.
I have. I killed a couple animals, but not people, but animals.
For fun? What the
fuck? No. They were.
Because we know you don't like dogs.
They were a nuisance, causing a hazard to other people, or injured. An injured deer, I would put out of its misery. Things like that.
What about a nuisance causing a hazard?
A deer that was darting in and out of traffic, going. People were.
So you killed it?
Yeah.
What about the dog?
I scared it into a canal and then killed it.
What about the neighbor's dog that shits on my lawn?
No, I won't kill that. I won't kill that.
Yeah,
I'll tell the neighbor to kill it.
Oh, all right. But
just kidding.
People hear that, and they go to autistic training. You're going to deal with a lot more autistic people than you are going to shoot your gun.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and I believe that this does speak for most, if not all, police officers. I took a lot more from that training of autistic, how to deal with autistic people, than I ever did from firearms. I'd go to firearms, I'd load up a bunch of clips, and I'd plink down range and try to joke with some friends about how much of a better shot I am than him.
You're a good
things
shot.
like that. Yeah, it meant nothing to me, right? It was fun. It was to get my hours, to keep my certification. But I remember very specifically before I retired, those 4 hours of training with that mother of that autistic child, those meant something to me.
Sure.
And I kept that. I learned, Keith, there was many years at the beginning of my career, we were dealing with autistic people. We treated them like they were people under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
I can understand that.
Because that was kind of the characteristics that we had been trained about that they were putting up there, right? So there were some terrible misjustices early on in my career because we simply didn't know. So later on in my career, when I received that training, I took so much more out of that than I did firearms. Even though we received fewer hours, I got a lot more out of that than I ever did any firearms training. But I totally get your question about that.
And again, I would just, we've had firemen on here, we've had EMS people, we've had all these type of people. It's been long. It took us a while to get a cop on here because we talked about this because of the climate. So you got, this is 2021, 2020, you had a George Floyd situation. What could have been done different about that? Again, you're not speaking for all cops, I'm speaking for you. You had 22 years on the job, and this Chauvin had 20-something years on the job, and he was actually training somebody that day. Or the bitch that pulled a fucking gun thinking it was a taser.
Yeah, she's on trial currently for that.
Shot a motherfucker.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd like to talk about those two things because here's the shit we see.
Yeah.
We don't see the guy run into the building, you ever been run into a fire?
You betcha.
You ever pull anybody out that fire?
You betcha. Yeah.
But we don't see that shit.
No, we don't.
Okay, and I was just throwing shit out there. I didn't know you'd done that, so I'm glad you were like, you betcha. I'm glad you said that shit. But, we don't see the good things that public servants do.
Right.
And I just don't want to say cops. I'm talking you, EMS, I'm talking fire guys, I'm talking, I don't know, a nosy neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get it. Yeah.
We don't see that shit. We only see the negative shit.
Yeah.
But the bitch that pulled the taser, or the gun
instead of the taser,
or the dumb bitch that walked into the wrong apartment and shot the fucking dude.
There's
so
that as
these
well.
are the things, Ryan, these are the things that black people see and think, oh, cops.
Yeah.
Right? They got the blue eyes. They got the used to be blonde hair.
Yeah.
Red beard, blonde hair.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
How do you speak for that? So let's talk about George Floyd.
Yeah.
What would have been different if you were there? And I know hindsight's 20/20, but when you first saw that, did you think something was wrong with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pretty quickly. So, first of all, I don't need to preface anything. I wasn't anywhere when any of this went down, right? So, I'm not going to preface that.
You ever been to Minnesota?
No, I've never been to Minnesota.
There we go. We're good now. All right.
Never once. Let me tell you.
You see Ryan standing over in the corner like this and shit, right?
Shit.
I'm telling you.
Derek, get your knee off his neck.
Bingo. So, you just said it, right? I mean, I can tell there's a difference when I'm trying to restrain a person to get them into custody versus when I have a different agenda, right? Or whatever.
I don't talk in code. What do you mean a different agenda?
I'm not entirely sure. So first of all, if the argument is that he was trying to get him into custody, you don't need to have your neck or your knee on somebody's neck until they have stopped breathing to get that person into custody.
Okay.
Right? I can have people, especially he wasn't the only officer there.
Right.
He was not the only officer there. He had backup with him. You can't tell me that guy handcuffed posed a threat to him. You cannot tell me that.
The reason you put them in handcuffs is so they don't pose a threat, right?
Once a person is in handcuffs.
That's why you did it you did something at the store where you would handcuff people. Before you started your law enforcement career.
Oh,
you handcuffed people so they would quit doing what it is they were doing.
Yeah. Well, even law enforcement 101, if a person is secured in handcuffs, behind their back especially, but whatever, just secured in handcuffs,
it's over.
That person is not an immediate threat to you.
Okay.
And so if I continue to put pressure on a person's neck that is in handcuffs, there's no excuse for that. There's absolutely no excuse for that, and I can't speak to what I think is appropriate or not appropriate. I can speak for the fact that there's no excuse for that if you're, the person posed no threat to you.
And so here we are. It's an amped up situation. You got a neighborhood full of people. They're filming you, blah, 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 and this is hindsight for you. So I know the answer you're going to give, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What would you have done if you were there and that was happening?
And let me tell you what. So I've had some situations in which, because there is something to be said about being amped up, right? In the heat of the moment.
Oh, yeah. I've been amped up.
Something to be said about that.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you about some of my experiences being amped up, heat of the moment situations. I tasered a guy who was dangerous to me. It was just me and him. The taser was not effective. The guy was still coming at me.
Why didn't it work?
The probes were too close together. And so, if you know, I don't know if you know much about tasers.
No.
The current travels between the two probes. So if they're further apart, then that's more of the body that it seizes up. If they're really close together,
you get more meat.
Yep, you get more meat. If they're really close together, that's just a very small portion.
Okay.
They were really close together, and so they weren't doing much. The guy was kind of feeling like he was getting stung by a bee. He was coming at me, wanted to fight me. So I took him, amped up. I threw him to the ground, and when I threw him to the ground, though, I immediately noticed the dude went out, and then there was a big pool of blood coming up around him. He had smacked his head on the driveway of this house, split him wide open. So that was a result of being really amped up, and I don't feel bad for it. That's just the way shit went down in that situation.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, when I recognized that his head sounded like a melon hitting the cement, and I immediately noticed blood, I immediately noticed that he was unconscious. Guess what I did? I changed the way I approached that situation. I wasn't fighting him
anymore. You didn't keep banging his head on the ground.
I didn't keep banging his head on the ground. I started, at that point, I secured him to make sure that I was safe, and then I started to make sure that he was okay after that. That, I think, is a situation.
Call an ambulance or something, huh?
I called an ambulance. I turned him on his side if he was struggling to breathe, which he wasn't in this case, right? But in a situation like that, if I'm kneeling on a person, they lose consciousness, what am I going to argue? How am I going to make an argument that I feared for my safety or the safety of anybody else?
An unconscious person.
For a person who's laying there in handcuffs and unconscious, I can't do it.
Okay.
I'm not going to be the guy that speaks out against the criminal justice system and how this was handled one way or the other. But as a police officer, knowing what I know about that incident, there is no excuse.
So I'm going to ask you this again. We're all in hindsight. So when you saw the George Floyd thing, you couldn't avoid it if you turned the TV on. What did you think about that? Like, did you say those things right there? How was this guy a threat?
Yeah, no. It hurt me because I'll tell you what, because when something gets politicized on a national level and it affects law enforcement, that affects me personally in Podunk County, City, Utah, right? This incident involving George Floyd back east, it affects me because everyone sees law enforcement, right? And it's hard. You can't blame them. But what bothered me is I watched that and it pisses me off because I don't handle situations like that. The people that I work day in and day out with do not handle situations like that, nor would they tolerate it if another officer handled situations like that.
Okay.
And so it bothers me because I know that what happened there, that horrible video that I saw and the way that happened affects me 1,000 miles west of there.
Yeah.
And so it bugs me.
Have you been called a racist? For whatever reason.
You betcha. Yeah.
How do you handle that? Does it throw you sideways?
It does. It doesn't. So first of all, people will call me every name. If you want to call me something that offends me, call me fat because I'm like, I am fat. Call me out of shape or you have a failing marriage. I'm like, I do have a failing marriage. Yeah. Shit like that.
Do a lot of cops go through multiple marriages?
That's a common thing.
And that's every movie. A cop's on his second or third marriage, and that one's falling down the drain, too.
That's common. And for the record, my marriage is, we're putzing along, right? But, you could call me all sorts of things where if it happens to strike true with me, I'll be like, yeah, I feel bad. But you sit there, you call me a racist, things like that. I know I'm not a racist. I know that people I work with aren't racist, and so it doesn't bother me.
But how do you know people you work with aren't a racist?
In the way that I've seen them interact with people, that's the only thing I can judge them on. I can't judge them big picture, right? Because I don't know them well enough.
You don't know that upbringing.
Don't know it. So I can only judge them in my experiences with them, and my experiences with them have shown that they treat people mutually respectfully.
Okay.
And that's all I can base it on.
I think that would reflect largely on their upbringing, or you're not. But if on a micro scale, if they're treating people the right way, I would say on a bigger scale, they're probably still going to do that because it's the small scale when nobody's looking on how you treat somebody is how you're going to treat people overall. So if you're saying that the people that you associate with, you don't see that, and it's something that's not in the limelight, chances are they're probably not going to do that when confronted. Right. Now, there's going to be the anomaly, sure. And I'm sure there are those out there, but if that's what you're speaking to, then sure, I could see that.
Without question. There's people, I mean, there could be people that I see interact very, very legitimately with the population, and that I'd say that's a very competent officer, and they could be raging racists or something like that, right? Conversely, you could have a person who legitimately, sincerely has no anti-race sentiment in his body, but then do something extremely ignorant while dealing with somebody of a minority race, right? So you have to judge that. And in my experiences, all I can speak to that I have not witnessed that personally.
Okay, 2 more I want to get to. I want to get to the lady that shot the dude and thought she had a taser. How does that happen?
Oh. Are we going on that now? Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't speak to that. I honestly can't speak to that.
Did you carry a taser?
Oh, yeah. I carried.
Did you carry a gun?
Keith, I tasered the shit out of people.
Okay.
I tasered so many people. Every single one of them had it coming, but I was the first person in my agency to use my taser, and I used it often. I used it well. And I'll tell you what, I never once mistook my gun for my taser.
How's that happen? That's my question.
Has it happened?
How
does it happen?
Let me speak Crown Royale. How does that happen?
I can't speak to that. Let me tell you that we talked earlier about when you're in the heat of the moment, things maybe aren't firing on all cylinders. And I'll tell you, there's a shitty invention out there. There was a shitty invention out there. You know how police officers carry like these machine gun looking AR-15s. They look like machine guns, right? That soldiers carry. We'll carry that. There's a shitty invention out there that they thought it'd be a good idea if on the foregrip of this AR-15 we actually put a taser, and that taser can be used, and they can also have their gun at immediate access.
Wait a minute. You had a hybrid.
You had a taser gun?
Hybrid taser gun.
That's stupid.
Shittiest invention in the world, and I'm not saying that's what happened at all because it's not. But
the shittiest invention in the world is green ketchup. Remember when they came out with the colored ketchup? Yeah. That was so disgusting.
Well, ketchup is a tomato. There are green tomatoes, so green ketchup isn't all that crazy.
I'm with Keith on this one.
Anything but red ketchup was shitty.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's chili verde. Yeah. So anyway, so in this situation, you're holding a gun which can kill you and can also taser you. And if shit goes south and you get so amped up, you're just pulling on triggers. You might pull on the gun trigger, you might pull on the taser trigger.
That's a real thing.
That is a real thing, and that is a real thing that happened.
It is gone. They don't make that anymore.
I certainly hope so. As far as I understand, it's gone. So that's in that situation. You asked how could it happen? That's one scenario and how it could happen. In her situation, I don't know. It happened at the subway, too. I don't know if you remember this. The transit officer.
Fruitville Station.
Bingo.
Yep.
Transit officer thought he was tasing him, actually pulled his gun out and shot him.
What?
Do you know what happens? Law enforcement now makes it a thing where your taser has to be carried on the weak side of your body.
Weak side?
Yeah. So
I don't have a weak side. Have you looked at me?
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, I don't have
both. If you look at me, you'd be like, both of this guy's sides are weak.
Both of them are weak.
So I'm right-handed. I carry my handgun on the right-hand side. So now what they say is you're going to make a smart-ass comment.
I'm a lefty.
Yeah. Wood's a lefty. He'd carry his handgun on his left-hand side. Right.
Up.
I mean, we can't speak to that.
But I'm in my right mind.
So you're right. You carry your gun on the right side.
Carry my gun on the right-hand side.
Okay.
So nowadays what they're saying is they want officers to carry their gun or mandate officers to carry their taser on their weak side so that either I have to draw the taser using my weak hand, which is not the hand that I would use to draw my handgun with, or I would have to use my strong hand and reach across my body to get the taser out.
So how did she carry her? You don't know how she carried her gun.
I don't know. I don't know. Was it before they made that? And maybe because when I first got my taser, I carried it on the strong side. I carried it right next to my handgun.
Does that make any sense, though? Like what she just did. Does that make any sense?
No.
Okay, one more.
I've been in tough situations where I had to draw both my gun and my taser, and I knew exactly which one I had in my hand.
Did you have a hard-on?
I don't want to talk about that on there.
All right. So the last one I want to confront you on is the lady that walked into the wrong apartment. You know that one. She lived on the 3rd floor. She walked into the 2nd floor. She saw a dude in her apartment. She shot him in his apartment. This is the reason why black people have a problem with cops.
No,
okay,
I mean,
I guess the bigger question is, because that's a black guy that was shot.
Yes.
If she walks into the 2nd floor, not hers,
and Matthew McConaughey's in there?
Yeah.
is she shooting him?
Or does she take her top off? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is going to lead me to my last question.
Okay.
I wish I could answer.
I'm on the same page there with you.
My best answer to that is leaving the shooting part aside. I have been part of incidents in which we have gone to the wrong residence, right? So I can't speak to the shooting, and I will not speak to the shooting. But having gone to the wrong residence before, I can understand how a person would do that. Now, she claimed that she thought it was She claimed that she thought it was her apartment, if I remember right. Is
correct.
That right? That's a different ballgame. I have never walked into the wrong house and been like, "Nah, honey, I'm home." I've never done that.
Okay.
And so I can't explain that.
Seems strange.
Yeah,
to me.
I cannot, and nor will I attempt to explain that.
So my question, Mr. I worked at jail, and I worked at a small town, I worked at a little larger town, and I worked at a lot of bigger town, and I worked at here. When we spoke earlier and we were fucking around, I talked about you being Mr. O'Malley, swinging your stick. O'Malley is what? That's an Irish name. Okay. So what I know is Irish policemen. And Irish is what? White people.
Yeah.
Even if they're black Irish, which the first time I heard that, I was like 22. I was like, what the fuck is a black Irish?
What?
You know?
I'm sorry.
That's something that a white guy made up.
Yeah.
But white people.
Yeah.
Do you think as a whole, for you, let's just speak for you. I don't want you to speak for everybody.
Good, because that's all I can speak for.
All right, that's all you can speak for.
Yeah.
Are white cops scared of black people?
No. I say no.
It's a different culture, though. Because black people get excited. You know,
scared of versus unfamiliar with. Let's say
two different things, right?
Yeah, I would say two different things. There has been many more times than I can count that I have come in contact with a black individual in the course of my duties. Never once have I felt fear. Never once have I felt innate disrespect on one side or another. Right?
Even after 2020, because you just retired.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there can be an immediate sense of differences in culture or differences in approaches to things.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, in the encounters that I can speak to, I was able to recognize that and alter my approach, and I also recognized that they were familiar with that and altered their approach.
So explain alter approach.
I don't know. So that you have cultures and you have differences in cultures. It's not just me. It's not just the white police officer. Whoever I'm in contact with, they live their own culture. They have their own experiences.
Lived experiences.
Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to recognize when that person that I have contact with has picked up on and is trying to compute the differences between mine and their culture. And I think that that's kind of mutually understood. They can see that I'm saying, okay, there's some differences. Let's go about this. And they're saying the same thing. We kind of meet in the middle.
Okay.
For me personally, it's never been an issue. And I'll tell you, the big agency I worked for, big Polynesian culture. And there was something that was very unique. They are a very maternal culture.
That's the mama.
And I'll tell you what, mama had last say.
Yeah.
Everybody was scared shitless of mama.
Okay.
And I'd roll up on some of these domestics. You'd have big fights. You know, all these big people. And these Polynesian guys were big. They could have worked me if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. We'd get there. I'd try to get them in touch with their dad or whatever. Maybe call it my own ignorance. Ultimately, I learned that's not the way their culture operates. I learned to contact their mother, or even better, their grandmother.
Okay. Smart.
And get grandma to talk to or get these people to know that grandma knew the situation. Yeah. I'll tell you what, shit shut down. And it took me a while to figure that out.
I remember seeing Polynesian people for the first time, and I was talking. Did I tell you the story? Did I tell it on here? Anyway,
I don't know.
Tell you.
Yeah, tell Ryan here.
I remember seeing Polynesian people for the first time, and we're at a basketball court, and I'm talking to one of my dudes, this black dude. I was like, why the fucking black people out here so fucking large? And he's like, what are you talking about? I go, like, those black, I thought they were light-skinned black people with curly hair.
Yeah.
I was like, those brothers over there, they large as shit. He goes, they're Polynesian. I go, what the fuck's a Polynesian? He goes, you know, like Jimmy Superfly Snooker? I was like, oh, word? That's what they look like? He's like, yeah.
What kind of black is Polynesian?
That's them motherfuckers right there. Just thick people.
Yeah.
What would you like people to know about policing? You 22 years in. You're out the game, so you have no skin in the game right now.
I have no skin.
What do you do now with yourself?
I've been teaching driver's education, but
You teaching that cop shit how to drive, how to do that? What was that maneuver? What was that shit he talked about earlier?
The pit maneuver.
Pit maneuver.
Yeah.
I've been doing that.
Teaching that to young drivers.
You taught it? You taught people that?
Yeah. No. I just taught them how to pass the Utah
wish I
driver's
learned
education.
Just driving.
Yeah.
I thought you would like.
I wish I learned that shit in high school.
Be badass.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. But what I would want people to know about law enforcement is to understand we are absolutely no different than any person you come in contact with, and that we are doing the best we can. We got fuck-ups, and we screw up. We got those guys.
How do the fuck-ups get hired, though? I mean, I guess just like anything else.
Right. It's just like anything
Fuck
else.
up
Sometimes it takes that fuck-up for us to realize that that guy or gal's not a good fit for this job.
Are there a lot of minority cops?
You know, I think so.
You run into a lot.
You understand? I live in white bread Utah, right? I mean, we got
a lot of white motherfuckers.
There's a lot of white people here.
There's a few around.
Yeah.
I was looking.
We're getting much better, but we have a diverse police culture here. We really do. I think it reflects pretty accurately the population. Is it perfect? No, but I think we're making some great strides there. And I think most agencies are trying for that. So that's what I think. We just treat us like everybody else. We're doing the best we can with what we got. We're going to screw up along the way and try to please work with us as we work through it ourselves.
Aww.
Aww.
That was so sweet.
That's a good touching end moment, isn't it?
No, I think it's cool to sit here and talk with you with the climate that's going on. And
agreed.
why'd you get out of policing when you did? You did 22.
Money.
You guys got to do how many years?
20 in Utah. It's 20 years to get full pension.
So you did 22 and you got full plus 2 years?
Yeah.
You got full plus 2 strokes, huh?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I got those 2 strokes. I ain't leaving before those 2 strokes.
Take that, bitch.
Yeah.
Take that, bitch.
I'll give you a little extra.
What made you leave, though? Why didn't you? I mean, because you're a younger dude. You're Woods' age, right? So why didn't you just keep doing it? Because this motherfucker's walking around. And I know this from my cousin. You guys got little chevrons on your arm. So this chevron means 5 years, and that's 5 years, 5 years. And I met a dude in Detroit. He had 6 of them. So that's 35 years.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
All right, is that 35?
6 times 5, I think that's only 30, but
30?
we can call it 35 if you add one more.
I'd like to call it 35.
He could have been 34, almost 35.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And he just got it on early.
Right. He just didn't get that.
Thanks for bailing me out.
He got excited.
Well, anyhow, I mean, you could have kept doing this.
Yeah. So
why'd you stop?
So to take a pension, I immediately get that pension coming in. I can get a job somewhere else. And I was young enough, got in at 21. I was young enough that I knew I could start a new career somewhere. And if I failed miserably, I'm a good cop. I know that I can get hired again as a cop. If I fail miserably and can't make another living for myself, I can go back to being a cop. If I'm a cop and don't ever try to put myself out there, I'll never know if I can succeed somewhere else. So that's why I retired. Wanted to give it a go.
What would you tell younger Ryan, 21 years old, versus 43-year-old Ryan now? Like, when you came in and you said to your mom, I'm the law now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you gotta look mom in the eye. Because mom's got the dress on. She's holding a fucking a dish rag.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
She just made you a pie and made you lunch.
Brownies.
There, and brownies. And she's got a hand up to her, and your little sister's by her thigh.
Yep.
And you're looking at her eye and go, Mom, I'm the law.
I'm the law.
I'm Wyatt Earp. Right? So what would you do different now? You wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say
No,
I'm the law now?
I wouldn't say that now.
I'm the law now?
Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't, because it's not as cool. But at the time, I'd totally do it again. I would say don't just go at it. Don't be afraid of what you're going to perceive yourself at the end, because you know what? It's like any other career in the world. I stand by this. If I choose to retire, I'm going to be replaced immediately, and law enforcement as a whole is going to forget who I was tomorrow.
Explain that. All the work you've done? What do you mean?
All the work I've done. I mean, there might be individuals along the way that remember my interaction with them and are very thoughtful about that and look back with fond memories. But as law enforcement as a whole, I am replaceable. I can retire tomorrow, and they're going to have a couple new jacks take my spot. It's going to keep going.
New Jacks.
Yeah.
That's New Jack City. That's Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
And that's fucking Mario Van
That's
Peebles.
right.
And that's Ice-T.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Is that where that comes from?
Yep. That's why I say
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
So, for you, did you solve any giant cases, anything we would know about? We're in Utah. Did you do Elizabeth Smart? Did you do any Ted Bundy shit? You're not old enough. You're not old enough. Unabomber? You're still not old enough. Did you do any, I don't know, multiple wife?
Yes, I had kids, some of those cases. So there were some cases that were higher local profile cases that I was a part of. But unlike people think, it's not like one detective grabs a case and then solves that case. You know, I mean, if Detective Ryan grabs a case and solves it, it's not my case. I'm just working on what a bunch of other cops did. So, yeah, I've been involved with cases that were higher profile, but no, I've never solved one as a result of my own efforts.
All right. Yo, Ryan, we appreciate you coming on, man. Wood.
Thanks for having me.
Is that what you're just saying?
That is what I'm saying. Ryan, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nailed it. With that, guys, that is what we are saying. Just to refresh real quick, recap, I guess, not refresh, recap. From now on, if you want to watch us live, we're going to be on mostly Fridays. Sunday, if you want audio only, we're going to release this Sunday nights into your Monday morning because we know you like that commute and hearing our sweet voices. Those of you that watch this live tonight, thank you so much. Thank you for those comments, those questions. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Who would have known that the Fuzz would have been so popular tonight? But here we are. Check out our sponsors. You know who they are. They're Tiger Claw Tattoo, MVP Jersey Framing, and The H Cubed over there on Facebook. So check those guys out. And with this and with that, Keith and Ryan, gentlemen, I got to tell you guys, it has been nothing short of a pleasure.
Freeze, motherfucker, because we out.